Hello and welcome back to Reconnected live with Charlie Nash and Kevin Tudor of the Almost Major podcast. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us again.
Of course. You guys were amazing last time, and I feel like it was just like a month and a half ago, but I looked and it's been like 4 months. So, hey, it's been a long time.
Oh no, it was last month. It's fine. No, I think it was like April, and I was like, you sure? You sure? Huh.
Well, how's everything been going? How's the podcast been?
It's been good. We're about to dive into the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, actually.
That's a big one.
Right in time for spooky season, which is fun.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which Ryan, you're joining us for Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And then we are done with our 1980s New Line miniseries. And then, breaking news, we are starting our new film series, which is going to be over Film District.
Nice.
Yes.
Very
So we will be
nice.
talking about Drive. We'll be talking about the motherfucking Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, Insidious and Insidious 2, The Rum Diary, Safety Not Guaranteed.
Spike Lee's Old Boy remake.
Other things, yes.
Which I have not seen. But I know is very divisive.
Also the remake of Red Dawn, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which means I have to watch the original.
You don't have to do anything. It's fine. I mean, I will. I haven't either.
That is a batch of titles. I'm kind of worried for your for your headspace.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun. We always have a good time whenever we chat about, even if a movie's terrible, it's always fun to like get together and, poo-poo on it.
Yeah, and that's I'm sure the Old Boy episode is going to be amazing.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah. Better than the movie. Let's try for that. I don't know.
Yeah, that movie is 11 years old, and I still haven't. I love Spike Lee, and I still haven't seen it. I remember they released that one wasn't that like a Thanksgiving release, and then like it flopped entirely, and even Film District was like, I don't know.
Well, God, that means the original is 21 years then, I think.
Oh, good Lord, yeah.
Yeah, Old Boy remake came out November 27th. I'm seeing here.
Yeah. And you're right, because I remember Old Boy, the original, I think it played in the same Cannes competition that Tarantino was the head jury for. And if I recall correctly, that was up for the Palme d'Or along with Shrek 2. So is that the only time that people have sat around the table and been like, okay, so we're talking Best Picture here. What did we all think of Old Boy? And then someone just brings up, it wasn't Shrek 2. I mean,
yeah, but the hallway scene. Yeah, but the donkey fucks a dragon in Shrek 2.
Voting had to be close, at least. So, last couple episodes of the show, what have you had on? You had one of my favorite Vinegar Syndrome titles just released today.
Oh, Buddies.
Buddies. Yes, we released that today. Yes, that's arguably one of the best movies we've covered.
Just period. Not even in the New Line series. Just period.
Oh well, yeah. Better than My Demon Lover. Let me think. But yeah, we had Buddies. We recently had Mitchell Beaupre, who was supposed to be here today, but they are very busy. But they came on for a double feature of Perfect Strangers and Special Effects.
Which I am very bummed that I had to miss the recording date of due to something that came up. Especially because I watched not only those, but I watched I've seen the stuff, and I watched God Told Me To, and what was the other one I watched? Q the Winged Serpent, so I was doing my research, and then life happened. Yeah.
Oh, it's all good.
Well, since you didn't get your share then, how do you feel about Larry Cohen now?
I like Larry Cohen. I mean, I still feel like, I've seen a good chunk now, but I still feel like I'm scratching the surface with him. I mean, it is. I think my favorite of his is probably God Told Me To, which I thought I knew what I was getting into with that movie, and I had no effing idea.
No.
I mean, I think I'm more pro than Kevin. Would that be?
My favorite is The Stuff because that movie just doesn't give a shit.
No.
Big fan of The Stuff.
The Stuff is awesome. When I worked at the Coolidge Corner Theater a few years ago, I think this was right before the pandemic, we bought a bunch of fluff for a midnight screening of The Stuff and printed out the labels for The Stuff and just taped them on. And it was the only midnight screening we ever did in which we just had the basics out for fluffernutter sandwiches, which people were welcome to make with The Stuff, which was it was fun. That's weirdly, I've seen that. We also showed the director's cut of The Stuff, and I've seen both versions of that, and it was one of the few times I preferred the shorter version of that one. The director's cut kind of gets into this military subplot that isn't uninteresting, but a little bloated. Yeah, it kind of
comes out of nowhere. Yeah, that's the only part. I'm just like, hey, no, get back to the stuff.
Yeah.
And funny enough, you just mentioned those two. I'm a big fan of Q the Winged Serpent. I don't know if it's my favorite, but just the fact that he went out there and like basically bribe some cops to work for him after their shift and handle everything. That is such a badass idea. But the big thing is everybody's got to pay attention to his writing. I mean, other than the stuff that he's directed, he is an incredible script writer. Used to work for insanely cheap and insanely quickly. So because of that, he wrote some crazy off the wall scripts. I feel like a lot of those are really ripe for some good physical media releases.
Yes. I mean, there's been Vinegar Syndrome. Wasn't there a Vinegar Syndrome release for Perfect Strangers?
Yep.
Yeah. And special effects,
Special effects was Olive, I believe, put that out.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Which means I guess theoretically we could see it from Sandpiper coming up soon.
Oh, of course.
Since they're the same people. But other than that, let's get into physical media as a whole. Kevin, what have you been picking up lately? I've loved seeing some of those pictures.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I don't have them today, but I was supposed to get my shipment in from the Rare Waves 2 for 15-pound sale or whatever, so I went nuts on that and got a lot of 88 films, Hong Kong releases, and a lot of Eureka movies. I think it was Eureka, maybe just a bunch of 88, but that's coming in soon. But yesterday I got a Grindhouse shipment of 3 Visual Vengeance. Visual Vengeance. So I got Bloody Muscle Builder in Hell, of course.
Damn good one.
We got Slaughter Day, of course, and The Abomination.
Need to see all of those.
I got Black Cat in today, which I got in the Rare Waves thing. I bought this thinking it was the limited edition. It's not. I have 2 copies of Black Cat. Maybe one of my favorite purchases that I've ever made is I finally got this in the Line of Duty box set. And this was a complete blind buy, and every single one of them just is fantastic.
They're so good and so different too. Like the fact that they, you don't have a true through storyline, and yet everybody's just amazing and exciting and engaging the entire time. Really great series.
Yeah, I honestly like Yes Madam was probably my least favorite out of the 4, and I still liked it. But also, I went into it thinking it was going to be a Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock just kicking ass, and it's mostly these 3 guys just being like, "Why does everybody want to kill us?" And I'm like, "Hey, get out of here!" And then I picked up because in the Line of Duty 5 through 8 or 9 or 10, however much there actually is officially, all bootlegs of that. Besides this, which I got from Germany, I believe that's the 8th one. Who knows? A few titles I got I'm trying to get all the Dragon Dynasty movies, so I finally got Killer on Blu-ray.
Nice.
Hard Boiled on Blu-ray. Tai Chi Master, I think this is the Ronin Flicks release of it. And then the Legend 1 and 2 Ronin release of that as well. And then I think the rest that I have here are ones that I picked up these 2 Connie releases. I don't think it was in the disconnected Discord. I think it was the boutique Blu-ray Discord. But I got Viva Erotica and Bullets Over Summer, and then from the disconnected Discord, which everybody should join for only $7 a month. Who did I want to shout them out? I got this today from Zach.
Nice.
4K. From Aaron, I got the Iron Monkey Eureka.
Sweet.
Because I found the Region A one in like a record store for like $5, and then I didn't know until I got it that it's like edited, you know. And then from Sam Cohen, I got Hard Target on 4K.
Had to get Sam a mention. I totally get it.
Yeah.
We love Sam on the show.
Charlie, what about you? Picking up anything recently?
Not as recently as Kevin, but I do have a lot of stuff that since the last time I was on the show. So the two big Vinegar Syndrome, or Friends of Vinegar Syndrome stuff that I got. Yes, I got the Poetry of Li Cheng Dong,
Nice.
which I have not seen any of these yet. No, I'm sorry. I've seen Poetry, which is incredible, and I'm eager to revisit that one. I believe the other other three are Peppermint Candy, Oasis, and
Greenfish.
So I do need to dive into this. My roommate, Oasis is one of his favorite films, although I've heard that one is very dicey. So not comfortable viewing, but I am very excited to dive into this. I mean, I saw Burning in theaters a couple times, thought that was one of the best films of that year, or like
Burning is incredible.
It's unbelievable. The Burning is so good that I saw it at a film festival, and The Favorite was right after that. The Favorite screened like 45 minutes after Burning, and I wasn't able to get into The Favorite the first time I saw it, because all I could think about was the last 15 minutes of Burning. And it was just not fair. And I also got Thieves Like Us, which also has an essay by our good friend Mitchell Beaupre. Still need to watch this one, especially with the passing of Shelley Duvall, R.I.P. She's incredible. I'm an Altman fan. Somehow I've never gotten around to this, but I'm excited to dive into it. And its new 4K release for the first time. I did also get, I think this one's a little older, but it came out since the last time we were on the show, but I got Claire Denis' Bastards. If any of you haven't seen this and you like dark thrillers, holy crap, the ending of this thing will just knock you on your ass and then make you want to see it, sit through it again, but also have you dreading going through the whole experience again, which is I kind of love that, frankly, when you get that chill down your spine, and then you're like, oh shit, I need to oh god, I need to go on that ride again. It's great. Claire Denis is one of my favorite filmmakers. She might come up later, who knows. The Criterion sale I know was in July, but I did go pretty big on that, especially because there's a Barnes & Noble that is about 7 minutes away from where I work. So I was able to pick up Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which I had never seen until very recently. The new 4K release, final film by Sam Peckinpah. I knew this movie was going to be awesome. I had, like every Sam Peckinpah film, I'm never fully prepared for how sad and haunted I will be by the end of it. It's an incredible 4K release. There are 3 versions on it. The 50th anniversary release and the original theatrical release are in 4K. Then there's the final preview cut, which I believe is the longest one. I'm excited to, I've heard the theatrical is a little butchered from, what he initially intended, and the final preview cut's a little janky, but I'm excited to dive into all 3 versions of that. And then I caught up with a lot of movies that I just love that I really wanted to own. So Drive My Car. Sorry, it's blurry. I'll get rid of the blur for. Am I able to? Yeah, let me get rid of the blur for a sec. Virtual background. Okay. So yeah, Drive My Car. Just one of the best films of our current decade.
And we'll be talking about him later tonight.
Yes. Here's one that this is a first time viewing for me. That I watched for the first time, I think since the last time I went on the show, and immediately was like, I need to own this. But Woman in the Dunes, which I believe Gene Siskel said was one of his favorite films, and just some of the most incredible cinematography I've ever seen. A movie that I'm sure I will pick up on little details here and there every single time I watch it. Just surreal, and it burrows into your brain, this one, in a way that, like, it's hard to it's one of those movies that I've never really felt the uneasiness and the simultaneous, like, 2 things can be true. This is so beautiful and also so unsettling at the same time, but some movies kind of capture a vibe, then this one is so distinctive that I can't even compare it to anything else. It's the first film by Hiroshi Teshigahara that I've ever seen. I can't wait to dive into the rest of his stuff, and I believe there's some short films on here. I think, yes, there are 4 short films that I need to dive into on the bonus features. A blind buy that I've not watched yet, and I'm kicking myself that I haven't, is Celine and Julie Go Boating. I'm just going to admit, and this is a bit embarrassing, I have yet to dive into Jacques Rivette. I've heard this is a good gateway, despite the fact that it's over 3 hours long.
I haven't got into him either, so.
I've never watched a single one, Charlie. You're in good company.
Good to know. Heard this is incredible. I will admit, I was in Barnes & Noble when I bought this, and I introduced Showgirls, a repertory screening of Showgirls at the Somerville Theater in the Boston area. And, you know, I mentioned that Jacques Rivette was one of its biggest defenders. And then there was a part of me when I was in that Barnes & Noble, it was like, well, if I'm introducing Showgirls, I might as well get this for homework or research. And of course, and, you know, I just didn't get around to it in time, unfortunately, but I am still excited to watch this and be like, oh, I wonder where this guy loves Showgirls. I don't know. I'm just being ridiculous at this point. Since we're approaching spooky season, I mean, Cure, the Kiyoshi Kurosawa film, he might also come up later with another mention of one of his movies, but this is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. During lockdown, I was in quite a few virtual movie clubs, and there was one where I got to pick an October a movie for a week in October, and I felt like no one had seen this, and I was like, oh, this will be a good one. And while they all enjoyed it, the meeting for that club it was just immediately started with, what the fuck, like, what is the matter with you? And yeah, days, as will many other things in this movie. I mean, it's just the overwhelming dread that this movie fills me with is he's one of our greatest living filmmakers, Kiyoshi Kurosawa. Daisies, one of my favorite movies.
Good release.
I haven't watched this release yet. I have seen it on film. Weirdly, right after I saw a screening of Terrence Malick's The New World in the same theater, both on 35 millimeter. And it was one of those things where I was just like, God, I just love movies so much. And yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen this, but yeah, one of the great, is it Czechoslovakian comedies. And another blind buy. This is another embarrassing one that I haven't seen, but I Am Cuba, which I know Jenna Ortega has been mentioning on her Beetlejuice tour, weirdly. Which, it's in 4K. I've heard that it's one of the best looking movies ever made. Just, it was there. I grabbed it. We'll be catching up with that one soon. This is another good one for October. Peeping Tom, the new 4K. I had to scour the internet to reserve this on the Barnes and Noble website, because I think it took me 3 Barnes and Noble sites to just reserve a copy of this, and I ended up driving over several towns just to pick this up. This was impossible to find where I live, and it's kind of amazing because you know, you think about this film's history and how it completely, you know, tanked Michael Powell's career. Came out the same year as Psycho, you know, revitalized Hitchcock completely. And I think Psycho's a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite Hitchcocks as well. But this film makes few movies make me feel more complicit in being a voyeur, or, you know, or make the weaponization of the camera so upsetting, and yet it's so alive at the same time. I love this movie to death. Can't wait to revisit that. To Die For, new 4K of that. I mean, it's arguably, I'd say, top 3 Nicole Kidman performances, like up there. I'd say Birth and like Eyes Wide Shut, maybe Dogville. Yeah, but great movie. Bound, new 4K of Bound. Can't wait to check this out. Also, I keep forgetting this is an uncut version, and I don't know if I've seen the uncut version of this movie. Was the previous release uncut?
Yeah, I was going to ask, was the Olive uncut?
I don't know.
Not sure.
I genuinely don't know. And this is just an oddity, but I was visiting my family in Cape Cod. My parents now live in Truro, Massachusetts, so it's right outside of Provincetown. So we went shopping one day, and in a used bookstore, I found a sealed copy. It is no longer sealed because I've watched it, but a sealed copy of the Kino Lorber 4K of Turbulence for $10.
Yes,
fully sealed. I was like, I'd never seen it. I had heard of it, but I was like, well, it's $10. I just got to grab it. And yeah, this is first of all, it's a Christmas movie too. I didn't know that. So I'll probably be revisiting this come December, but
Demented. Yeah.
Demented, violent, so much fun. I mean, this movie got so trashed if you look up the reviews during the time of its release. And I sat there just, you know, pretty much cackling the whole time, just thinking, good Lord, what I would give for a movie like this and to come out today. And and you know, I love a good demented Ray Liotta performance. This might be the most unhinged he's ever been, which is saying something. I mean, what would Kevin? You were going.
I was saying probably. Yeah, I just can't think of anything else. But I mean, what else comes close to Turbulence? I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, Something Wild. He's scary, but like this is like just like
I don't know.
Yeah. I like at one point that he's framed all the dead bodies in as if they're having like basically a tea party or a Christmas party or something. And then like
I have heard good things about Turbulence 3 Heavy Metal, which sounds like even more my movie than Turbulence is, let me tell you. Just like take out Ray Liotta, put in hair metal band. And I'm just like, sounds great. Let's go.
Narc is a good shout, and this one actually is a really good one. Unlawful Entry, he's pretty unhinged.
I do need to see Unlawful Entry. That is a big blind spot for me.
Damn good movie.
Yeah, Kurt Russell and Madeline Stowe, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Early 90s thriller, not afraid to push the boundaries. It's great.
Ryan, before you show off, I can't reach it right now, but I got the new Frogman Walmart Terrorvision release. Very happy I got that. Drove like 35 minutes away for our Frogman. That's right.
I don't know if the counts were off or they just hadn't get it yet. I've not gone back to check yet, but the one that Brad said was in stock, it wasn't. So perhaps somebody already bought them all. I'm dying to get it. Yeah, it's a big one. A lot of people are very happy that they've been able to just walk into a store and get it.
Yeah.
I do need to see Narc. All of these suggestions are things that I need to see, by the way. So thank you for all of them.
I am not trying to make Kevin unhappy, but I got my OCN shipment for this month already. And so wanted to shout out, I Used to Be Funny. This is the new Rachel Sennett.
There's an amazing slipcover.
in literally
Yeah.
everything I've ever seen her in, and have been dying to see this since it was announced. When I announced this on the show, Film Movement was not a partner label yet, and this movie I could not wait to own, and I was so glad that I could get it through OCN. Hotel by Jessica Hausner. This thing sounds incredible. Cannot wait to watch this. Nice looking slip on this one.
Ooh.
Back when I watched that, it was a DVD rip on Daily Motion. I couldn't even find the DVD to buy it. So I'm glad that there's a Blu-ray of it now.
With Kevin on the show, had to talk up some SOV. So we've got Flesh Freaks from Saturday.
Can't wait to get that.
Crazy slipcover on this. I am amazed that Ross chose to go here with this slip. Looks fantastic. Another one I'm amazed with. I am flabbergasted. Can't show the back, but the fact that we have Delirium on 4K, and this has had so many just off the wall, not great releases throughout the years, and now we have a Vinegar Syndrome 4K of Delirium. Mind-boggling. Just absolutely insane. And then finally, Cinematograph has been a big deal for a lot of people this year, and I think so far this is their best looking physical release. Had to get Go Fish. Been very happy with the discs, but this is the first of the big media book packages that I went, this is like a handsome package. This is a really nice way to put this together. I appreciate this a lot. Love the way they went with the art style. Eager to watch this. Absolutely.
Bought that DVD a month ago. Thank you. You're welcome.
That is what I got. But you guys watch a lot of stuff, so let's talk about that. What have you been watching, Charlie?
I saw The Substance, which I believe Kevin also saw.
Yes!
I saw it with, not only did I see The Substance twice, I saw it with Sam Cohen twice. Yep. So we saw it on Wednesday for opening night. So yeah, about 8 days ago, and had a blast. And then the past weekend, it was just a rainy Saturday, and Sam just texted me like, "You want to go see The Substance?" And I was like, "You know what? Yeah, let's go." It's very, very divisive. I do understand why, but I found it just an absolutely gruesome hoot, and also a very angry and scathing and sad film as well. I mean, I think that Demi Moore being in the spotlight with this performance and this and giving this type of a performance that is so brave and vulnerable, I found deeply moving and also very, very funny. I mean, she goes full Betty Davis at one point in this movie without trying to spoil anything. I know that this film has gotten some backlash over the past week, and some people are claiming it as a feminist masterpiece, and some people are claiming that it's just as misogynistic as the targets that it is trying to attack. I somehow found it to be a miraculous, this is the second time I'm saying it already, but two things can be true type of thing. It can be funny and deeply sad. It can be angry and also fun. It can be, it's a lot of things. I'm trying not to get into any specifics, because if you haven't seen it, you should go in as blind as possible. But I think Kevin feels similarly.
If we spoiled it, the thing is, nobody would be like, "Hey man, thanks for spoiling it." They'd be like, "That doesn't happen in the movie," and then they watch it and they're just like, "What? They did that?"
Yeah.
No, The Substance is fucking incredible. Favorite movie of the year. It was very good to walk out of the movie this year that like I actually loved, because there's been a handful of movies that I've liked, but nothing where I was just like, "Oh man, favorite movie of the year." I was like, well, I guess by default that's my favorite, but I'm not really that happy about it, because before this it was, I think, The First Omen, which I really liked The First Omen, but like The Substance is my shit. Like it was made for me. Is entirely everything that I love. A messy movie about culture and also just body horror, just grossness, and also the best score I've heard in so long. My goodness.
I was listening to the score on Spotify in my car the other day.
God, so good.
Nice.
It's been so long since I left a movie theater with just the goofiest smile on my face. So it's just like, this is why I come here. This is it.
I'm seeing some comments saying, yeah, I agree that it is purposefully shoving the male gaze in your face, despite the fact that, directed by Coralie Fargiat. I mean, with this and Revenge, I think that she has now made 2 big genre movies that are. It's interesting how Revenge kind of deconstructs the male gaze in front of you and makes you feel complicit, and then gives you everything that you want out of that revenge movie. And this is a movie very much about self-hatred and the specter of patriarchy, and how it it kind of burrows its way into making women self-critical and very and that delves into the body horror. I agree. I think that the film itself is also very much satirizing the male gaze and is very much pointing everything directly back at you in the most blunt way possible, which I consider a feature, not a bug. Obviously it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that's also kind of what I love, is how kind of in your face and abrasive, and how much it does not give a shit whether or not you like it or not. Have you seen it yet, Ryan?
I have not. We went
brought
to
the kids
theater.
to that. Oh,
we went to the theater with the kids this last weekend, so we couldn't go to that. We went and saw Beetlejuice. A month after everybody else. And in fact, it's been kind of a kid-heavy week. We normally don't move them up like we have, but we felt like it was kind of time. So we showed them a monster movie that was like not animated, one that had some cuss words and everything. I showed them Cloverfield for the first time. My 8-year-old and my 9-year-old sat entranced this entire time. My 8-year-old almost cried, said it was a sad movie because of the people that were dying. My 9-year-old absolutely loved it, was intrigued and asking a lot of questions. And I said, see, this is good. You're doing the right thing. This is what the movie wanted you to do. And so now I think we're ready to move on to some bigger things. Obviously, Tremors is coming up soon. Excited about some others, and it's that period. I've been looking forward to this for years, so we're finally breaking through. I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
I remember seeing Cloverfield on opening night. I closed my job at a food court in the mall and just walked right over to the Regal that was connected to it. I remember seeing that movie in 2008 and being like, it's just perfectly fine to destroy New York again, I guess. It's like, I remember being like, okay, it's been now 7 years, that's our limit. Like, yep. But I also feel like that's obviously part of the point. But I do remember just like, it was the first time, like even Day After Tomorrow, I know New York gets flooded, but like the post 9/11 imagery in that, I mean, I guess War of the Worlds as well, but like, I guess the specific monuments that get completely taken apart in Cloverfield. It almost felt like it was purposely pushing our buttons in a way that was like, see, we're doing this again. And you're kind of like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, it was an interesting way to look back in 2024 lens against that for sure. Yeah, that was a fun one. And then the other one, I guess I should shout out, because I'm not sure if either one of you seen this from this year, and I've not seen many people talking about this. Have you guys seen Blink Twice?
No, I haven't. I am hoping to catch up with it soon. I've heard it's very divisive.
It is, and I can see why, but it's the best thing. Like, it's unique. It's fairly original. It's a movie that is very obviously made for 2024 and needed to be. I think it was a pretty great directorial debut for Zoe Kravitz. Hell of a cast. Nice to see Christian Slater doing something super fun. Channing Tatum comes across as an idiot and diabolical and semi-normal. I liked it. I thought it was decent. It had a lot of issues, but still, like, for what I expected, I think it was a lot better than it could have been.
I will say, I think it's fascinating that Beetlejuice is in theaters the same time that a movie Gina Davis is in is also out in theaters, and they are not the same thing. Like,
and very different movies. Yeah.
Because when is the last time Gina Davis has been in a movie, period?
She's done a couple indies over the last decade, I think, where she's made very small appearances. But yeah, she's legitimately in Blink Twice. That's the good thing. She gets a couple minutes of screen time at least.
Yeah.
It's not just a glorified cameo.
Nice.
All right. We're ready to go through some announcements then.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
We talked about Turbulence for a while. Another one that's very similar like that is starting off our round tonight. and that is Below from Kino Lorber. This is coming on 4K on November 26th. This is from the same director of Pitch Black and stars the likes of Zach Galifianakis, Bruce Greenwood, Olivia Williams in this, of course. This is going to have an audio commentary by the director and a handful of the actors, but all of this is all archival extras from the previous release. They did not do anything new for this, which is kind of surprising. But there's a lot that they've been doing like that recently. I'm kind of shocked. Some of these 4K upgrades, they're not shelling out for anything new.
Yeah. It is HDR. Hasn't Kino been getting shit for having SDR?
Yeah, a lot of the ones that they're doing with Studio Canal, there's no HDR because Studio Canal has not done HDR in a lot of their 4K releases.
Yeah, the only thing I know about this movie is it was co-written by Darren Aronofsky, and that's it. How that came to be, I don't know.
I am eager to see it, though. Let's go to our next one. Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Time from 2010 is getting a Blu-ray steelbook from Cinedigm December 17th. Are either of you into anime?
I'd say I do like anime. My good friend and roommate has a subscription to Crunchyroll and watches every single show that is ever streamed on there. I would consider myself like a casual fan, more of a, more into the Satoshi Kon,
right.
Miyazaki, Isao Takahata. Like, I'm much more well-versed in, certain film auteurs when it comes to anime. But I mean, I love Neon Genesis Evangelion. I loved Pokemon growing up. I was a little too old, I think, for Yu-Gi-Oh! By the time that came out. So I never got into this, but I know that, obviously it still has, tons of fans, and I am curious. So
I would like to point out, I do not love that there's basically zero art on the inside. However, I think it's really neat to include the list of bonus features on the inside of the steelbook like this.
Interesting. Even if I think the only reason they did that is because the bonus features, there's nothing. Bonus features, interactive menu. Yeah. Every time I think about Yu-Gi-Oh, I was big into it when I was little. I remember every Sunday, the Hastings video store would have Yu-Gi-Oh get-togethers where just a bunch of nerds that, would play Yu-Gi-Oh. But I remember one day I did not want to play Yu-Gi-Oh because I wanted to rent the ring on VHS. But they were all rented out. So I spent 2 hours just walking around waiting for somebody to return the ring. You know what I got at the end of the day? I got the ring on VHS.
And now maybe somebody will talk about it tonight, which, by the way, I didn't bring up. Our topic after announcements tonight, we're going to be talking our top 10 favorite horror from 2000 to 2009. And we're going to be starting a series. The next couple times the Almost Major Boys come back, we're going to be doing 2010 to 2019 on the next one. And then the 2020s for the appearance after that. Cannot freaking wait. This was really hard to get to a top 10, by the way.
It was. There are quite a few.
My honorable mentions are. Whew.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Okay, good. We're allowed to say honorable mentions.
I have 13 honorable mentions.
It was tough, and also trying to spread the love in between certain subgenres of horror, and
it was hard because I chose it because I'm like, oh, the 2000s are so bad, and then I came up with a top 10 in like 2 minutes. So I don't know what I'm talking about.
We will get into all that nuance in just a little bit. Yeah. Next one, Transformers 1, which literally just got released. This is coming in a 4K steelbook, a standard 4K release, and then, of course, Blu-ray, DVD, all from Paramount. This is coming soon. We don't have a release date on it yet, but you can pre-order these now. And I've heard nothing but fairly positive reviews about this one. Yeah. My kids are going to see that with Grandma this weekend. I hope it's decent.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, our friend Jamie, I think they liked it. I did not know this thing existed until like a week ago.
Like a week before. I was just like, what is it? Okay.
I will say I was listening to the most recent episode of Linoleum Knife, which is Alonzo Duralde and Dave White, who are the critics for The Wrap, who are married to each other. And Alonzo is describing this movie to Dave and said, this is the movie where that it answers the lifelong question, what happened when Megatron and Optimus Prime were friends? And Dave White just said, is this a question that keeps people up at night?
That people have been waiting 40 years to hear the resolution for.
Yeah.
Good God. Next up, VCI releasing Impact from 1947. This is coming on January 21st on Blu-ray. This is one that a lot of people have been waiting on because it's got Anna May Wong, Charles Coburn, Ella Raines. One that I believe had like a pretty widely released DVD back in the day, but just a title that has not had any love on Blu-ray yet.
I love this art in the top right-hand corner so much. That guy is having a time.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I love how that's not terrible. It's interesting, but they felt the need to go with 20% of the art to have film noir in a big.
As if you couldn't tell.
Oh, next up, Hot Pursuit coming soon from Kino Lorber on Blu-ray. This is a big one. This is John Cusack, and it's got Jerry Stiller and his young scrappy son Ben Stiller being an asshole in this one.
Huh. Oh, and Keith David. Hell yeah.
Keith David, Robert Loggia. This is from 87.
87.
Way back in the day.
Seeing this cover reminded me, tangent, but when we already recorded our episode of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which we had the mixed reviews guys on. It was an awesome episode. But Gavin was bringing up the way that Nightmare on Elm Street 2 probably got popular was like USA Up All Night. And I was like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about that in forever. And then I scoured the internet, downloaded all the full episodes I could find. And so many of them are movies that if they're not called Hot Pursuit, you would think they're called Hot Pursuit, where it's like Beach Balls, Extreme Malibu Summer Party. And I'm like, I would never watch these movies solo, but the fact that I can watch them, preserved in time from the 90s, I'm like kind of interested. I did that last night. I watched the full episode of Hell Comes to Frogtown. That movie is kind of boring, actually.
It's a fun one.
I mean, the frogs are great. There's a lot of frogs. There's a lot of Roddy Piper. But I was expecting more Roddy Piping, and we didn't get that.
Yeah, I get that. Next one, probably Kino's biggest announcement in quite some time. They are putting out a 4K release of Happy Gilmore.
I sent this to Kevin when I saw that this was coming out because Kevin and I have a lot of nostalgia for 90s Adam Sandler movies that we grew up with. I would say this and Billy Madison, of those, I mean, like when it comes to my favorite Adam Sandler movies, Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love, but in terms of like the Adam Sandler starring comedies that he was known for, I mean, this and Billy Madison are probably the best. I mean, Wedding Singer, I actually think
Wedding Singer is a great film.
It's
great.
Wedding Singer.
I somehow missed that one during my childhood. I don't know how. I missed it and only caught up with it like 5 years ago. But it's great. But yeah, Happy Gilmore. I mean, R.I.P. Carl Weathers too. It's it's gonna. I haven't watched it since he passed, but.
Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison are basically the two pillars that uphold Almost Major, because all we do is just quote from these two movies. We actually don't talk about any movie we're covering. We just do Adam Sandler voices and quotes from both of these movies.
Yeah. I remember watching Happy Gilmore for the first time. I was at a sleepover in 5th grade and ordered a pepperoni pizza and was like, this is the greatest night of my life. I was being 10 years old and getting to watch a new Adam Sandler movie.
Charlie, you can do the same thing tonight and it would be the same feeling. Order a pepperoni pizza and put on Happy Gilmore. It would be great.
Yeah.
I am so jealous of people that don't have kids right this moment. Going to our next one. Leon, a.k.a. Leon the Professional from 1994, getting a 4K Steelbook in the UK from Studio Canal on December 2nd. This is a slightly upgraded release, potentially, from what I hear. But the big thing, I actually really like the art on this one. This has not had really great art in the last couple of rounds of physical media, I feel like. And this is a pretty big title for a lot of people, obviously, Jean Reno and Gary Oldman, but of course, young Natalie Portman. How do you guys feel about this one?
It's a great movie that I'm surprised. Like, I'm always so surprised that it was directed by absolutely nobody. It's really nuts.
I have not seen it in a very long time, but it was in rotation for me a lot in high school. One that my parents recommended to me, actually, and then I got into. Sorry, Kevin.
I was just saying, I watched this at the same time. I watched like American History X at the same time, and like Boondock Saints, and just turned into the biggest shithill in 7th grade watching all of that. I haven't seen any of those since, and they should probably stay that way. I will say, I wish the Steelbook just had Gary Oldman on the front.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I'm really impressed that this movie made Jean Reno skyrocket to like one of the most famous actors in the world for 2 years, and then he disappeared again.
Yeah. What like who's in Godzilla and Ronin in 1998?
Yeah.
Was that when he came back? Yeah.
Yeah.
He did Crimson Rivers. That was kind of big back then too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rivers. Wow.
He was in Margaret. He was in Margaret.
There it is, folks.
Yeah. Sorry. Had to happen at some point.
October 28th in the UK, Nucleus Films is putting out Bloodbath at the House of Death from 1984. This is familiar because Vinegar Syndrome just released this in what most people will say is a much better release. However, if you are a big fan of UK comedy, you might want to double dip on this one. And I will say, if you scroll down a little bit, this has a bonus Blu-ray disc that includes the Kenny Everett Naughty Joke Box that's almost 80 minutes long. And then a year later, the new Kenny Everett Naughty video, which is, again, almost 80 minutes long. They were done, I believe, for like late night TV in the UK. And so many people have had problems being able to find these for years. And now they're getting, it's probably only an SD on Blu-ray release, but still, the fact that it will be out there, so glad that people are going to be able to see this.
Hold on. Sibner is saying that he worked on Margaret. Charlie, do you need 5 minutes to talk to Sibner?
Yeah, please tell me everything. Margaret is one of my, like, gun to my head, top 10 favorite movies ever. Probably, I've been on record saying it's my top favorite movie of the 2010s, and I will stand by that easily. Holy shit.
Yeah, we need to investigate this further. But I will say I was never even heard of Nucleus Films. Have they put out anything else that I would remember to be like, oh, they put that out? Oh, okay.
I believe they're associated with Screenbound over there.
Oh, okay.
And not super high quality.
Mm.
Yeah, but either way, it's cool. Those are coming on Blu-ray. Going back to anime for a quick moment, November 26th, Blu-ray from Crunchyroll on Attack on Titan final season, the final chapters, part 3, which is one of the reasons I can never collect anime. This is the final season, but only the final chapters and only part 3, and it's this crazy limited edition with 4 discs.
Sir, this won't even fit on Instagram.
Right, it's crazy.
Good Lord.
Absolutely crazy. And then the special features on this, textless ending songs, and that's it.
Okay.
All right, going to the next one. This is where all of the drama started this week. Let's get into it for a moment. December 1st, in the UK, we are getting Blu-ray releases of Cannibal the Musical. We're also getting The Toxic Avenger, and we're also getting Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. Now, starting with Cannibal the Musical, this is a huge deal because this film has never been on Blu-ray. This has not had a great release. This hasn't had a new restoration in quite some time. This is a big deal. For a lot of people that love Troma, this was one of the biggest ones. For a lot of people that love South Park, this is one they've wanted for a long time because Trey and Matt are involved in this. And this has, I mean, the number of special features is longer than the Instagram window. That's how crazy this is. They went all the way back to the master tapes on this, did a full shot-by-shot restoration. They've got tons of different cuts. They've got deleted scenes that were approved by Trey and Matt from this year. They've got all the commentaries that have ever been done on this. They've got all kinds of interviews. They've got all the EPKs. They've got everything going back years and years and years. Then...
Sounds great, Ryan. Nothing else happened, right?
A couple hours after that, and we'll get back to some of this other stuff. Vinegar Syndrome says, hey, by the way, coming in November, a month earlier than Refuse Films, we are putting out a Blu-ray as part of the DeGausser line of Cannibal the Musical. So if you're in the U.S., you might want to pick up this one. They're saying that their edition will be housed in a VS-style hard case with original art and a 40-page perfect bound scrapbook. And in addition to featuring an exclusive to Degausser new restoration from the highest quality video master, they've done a brand new feature-length making of documentary, including appearances from several never-before interviewed crew members, a new featurette covering the stage adaptation of the film, and a new group commentary with cast and crew. They're saying this is on top of hours and hours of amazing archived extras. Now, I've got nothing against Vinegar Syndrome releasing their own version of this. I've got nothing against Refuse Films putting this out. The hard part here is the owner, Liam of Refuse Films, has come out and let everybody know that Vinegar Syndrome has told U.S. retailers not to stock the UK release of this film. I have supported Vinegar Syndrome for quite some time. Not going to say anything negative about that necessarily, but that is extremely anti-competition and anti-consumer, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I've definitely heard stuff about that with I think it was the 88 Films release of like the Iceman Cometh and Vinegar Syndrome's version, that some retailers have said that Vinegar Syndrome is like, hey, why don't you just not, you know?
I had no idea about this drama until just now. That is...
It's not the first time. Yeah. Another one that was recent was Treasured Films put out Mausoleum, and they did the same thing. It's kind of shitty. Kind of shitty.
Yeah, because it's not like a 1-to-1. It's like they both were working on versions of it. It seems like, and they both like very independently. So it's just like it sucks. No way around it. It sucks. Even if Vinegar Syndrome saying that they can't carry it, whatever, anything like that. Like even if it didn't, it was just like we spent all this work and somebody else is also doing it. You know, that really does suck. I will say I'm getting the Degausser version because I'm buying all the Degausser movies. So I almost bought this on DVD like last month too. So I'm thankful I did.
I don't have anything against Vinegar Syndrome saying, hey, we got ours coming out. That's a good thing to let customers know that that's happening.
They don't import. Yeah.
Not against that whatsoever. But bullying retailers into not carrying competitors' products, that's the shitty part here.
Yeah. I don't really like that.
No.
Because I think I heard, I think it was on Reddit as well. I think Mark from Orbit was saying something where it's just like, yeah, on stuff that we've carried both of them, Vinegar Syndrome has like overwhelmingly sold them out. So it's like, I don't see why it feels like you guys have to be like, don't sell it. It's just like, if you're proud of your product, most people that are in the US are going to buy that one unless they already want to buy like the 88 Films version or the Eureka version. It's just like, let both of them sell. Especially, it feels really bad because I don't know if this was like an 88 Films or Eureka that puts out a bunch of stuff, but this is a company that I did not know existed until this announcement came out, and they feel like very small. Seems like they worked really hard on it and then just kind of gets sidelined by another release.
For the record, this is literally their third, fourth, and fifth releases that we're talking about tonight. They've only ever done 2 before this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So anyways, if people want to order from Refuse Films, I strongly suggest it. I'm definitely going to be buying the 3-pack just to show support to the young startup company here, because honestly, the special features really kind of blow it out of the water. I don't see the Degausser one having this much on there. I'm not saying that they're not going to be different, because they're definitely going to be different. But yeah, I think this is the better package to me overall.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get the Kabuki Man Blu-ray, because the Toxic Avenger, I'm probably going to get that 4-pack, I think.
The 4K,
yeah. Might get that.
Stan, the release date on these is December 1st in the UK. And by the way, if anybody's going to go over there to support and order shipping and all that stuff, just a heads up, the shipping, because it's from the UK, is $16. And I know that's sticker shock for a lot of people. And that's one of the reasons why I have such a problem with this, because if Orbit could carry these, shipping would never be a problem for people.
Yeah.
If Diabolic could carry these, it'd be a flat $6 shipping. No big deal. But yeah, the big thing here is to support them. You have to buy all 3 titles, or whatever you're going to get. Say you're going to get Cannibal, and then spend $16 to get tracked shipping. That's the only one they have. Reservoir is saying, is the movie any good, like South Park or not? Kevin, you want to answer that one?
I haven't seen Cannibal the Musical in like probably like 20 years, but I mean, I as somebody who went through, what was that? I think it was last year. I went through the South Park pandemic specials, and I had not watched South Park in probably like 15 years, and it was just like I was expecting this to be worse than it is, and it's actually kind of just there and kind of lazy. I was like, okay, let me go back to like the first few seasons. First few seasons of South Park is fucking fantastic.
They're so
and
good.
then
Yeah.
and then I rewatched the movie. The movie's fantastic. I adore. I know they didn't write it, but I adore basketball.
I knew you were gonna
So
say it. It's so good.
it's not my favorite comedy, but if there's a movie that can make me laugh harder, it's that movie. It's so goddamn funny. So
And it features real big fish on screen, so I'm happy
That's-
with that.
sure. But not a ska man. Not a ska man.
I still am, sadly.
But yeah, I adore basketball, and we were talking about on the Discord. It was like if they put out like a stupid ass $200 version with like a lazy boy ball, I'm buying 3 for Christmas gifts. Like,
Yeah, I'll say Cannibal the Musical is incredible. It's great as a very unique piece on your shelf. It is hilarious. Comedy similar to South Park, but yet also very, very different. Basically, you can tell it's the same people, but don't expect the same exact tone and everything that you got from
if
South
if
Park.
you've seen the Book of Mormon, I would assume that would be more in line,
Much more in line, yes.
or the South Park movie with all the all the songs.
True. So that's Cannibal the Musical. Like I said, they're also doing the Toxic Avenger. And yes, this is rough to see because this is only coming on Blu-ray, and there is a 4K release in the States. However, once again, the list of special features
Ridiculous.
that is not on the actual Troma release of the 4K, which this does have the same 4K scan of the director's cut and all that, so you can expect it to look just as good, just a little bit less on Blu-ray. This has basically everything you could possibly want for the Toxic Avenger on there.
There's our sweet boy. There he is.
And then third one, Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD. Yet again, this has all kinds of ridiculousness on here. Tons of cuts, tons of interviews, commentaries, pretty much everything that you could ever want on here, plus a brand new interview with Lloyd Kaufman. These are going to be incredible releases. And if you want, there is a bundle pack for all 3 that goes down in price by like around the price of shipping, essentially. So if you order all 3, it's kind of like getting all 3 for free shipping.
Yeah. KB is saying like Orgasmo. Yes, that should probably get a non-Universal Studio disc release, I would assume.
Yes, please. Stan's been waiting for a comprehensive release, and here you go. Perfect for you. All right, so that is that. We'll get past the drama now. Speaking of something without drama, I interviewed the director of Strange Darling, and released it this week. You had JT Molnar on the channel. Check that out. It was a fun one. This has one of my favorite moments in one of my interviews yet, because he had no idea his film was getting a 4K release, and I got to show him the 4K UHD release coming out in the UK, and he reacted in kind at that moment for it, which was a big deal.
That's awesome.
The next Kino Cult title has been revealed. This is coming on November 19th, and it is 1,000 Convicts and a Woman from 1971. This is one of those ones that I feel like they could have gotten a little more, but Kino Cult, they started strong, and then the supplements kind of started to dwindle. This one here is an 18-minute featurette by James McKay with some interviews with the assistant director and a stunt actor, a couple other people, and then we've got an audio commentary by the Alexandra Hay biographer, Dylan Dean Staley, featuring some archival interviews with the director, Ray Austin.
I've never heard of this movie. This is a poster that I will buy.
Yeah.
Even without watching the movie, this kicks ass.
Yeah.
Roddy says, that's not a very good ratio.
Goodness.
All right. Next, 101 Films in the UK releasing When We Were Kings from 1996 on November 4th on Blu-ray. If you've got the previous release of this that came out in the States, you're probably not going to want this. This only has an interview with Leon Gast on there. However, I believe this is the first time it's been released on Blue in the UK, so it is good for our friends across the pond.
I really like 101 Films. Their limited Black Label releases are really awesome.
I hear this one's getting kind of rare already.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah. That Ghost Watch release of that is like one of my favorite Blu-ray releases. I love it so much.
It's a decent one. Slingshot from
Fake movie.
2024 is coming on October 22nd from Decal and Bleecker Street. First off, what is this art?
Fake movie.
Second,
Tropic
if
Thunder
you're going to
movie.
smash two of these people up against the camera to take the picture, why put their names in the opposite order?
Yeah, really.
You could just mirror the image, guys. Come on now.
That's doing your homework in homeroom type of artwork right there.
Hey Charlie, did you know that some fears are darker than space? Did you know that?
I don't know what that means.
Neither do I.
Sibner is saying, check this one out. Is this a positive review of Slingshot? He says this movie was a major mindfuck. Interesting. Ronnie says very confusing. So already, yeah, major mindfuck. Good job.
Huh.
This says it's a psychological thriller starring Casey Affleck and Lawrence Fishburne. It follows an elite trio of astronauts aboard a years-long, possibly compromised mission to Saturn's moon Titan. As the team gears up for a highly dangerous slingshot maneuver that will either catapult them to Titan or into deep space, it becomes increasingly difficult for one astronaut to maintain his grip on reality.
So you're saying that they're in a bit of a slingshot. Okay.
Directed by Michael Hafstrom, who did 1408 and The Right and Derailed. I've seen one of those. I saw 1408 in theaters.
I've seen Derailed on Stars.
Aaron says it's like Space Ricky Bobby. Oh, man.
Oh, goodness.
All right, next one is It Ends With Us, the Blake Lively movie that I feel like nobody saw. November 5th, Blu-ray and DVD from Sony. I did not see this one. Charlie, you see this one?
Nope. Didn't read the book. Barely. I know the book is just as... Wasn't there a lot of controversy that came with this movie? And also the book was a huge bestseller, but some people considered it problematic. That's really all I know. Like, I don't know much about it.
Here's the thing, Ryan. It feels like nobody's seen it. This movie made like $180 million. It's ridiculous. Go with God. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Whatever you say, people saw it. Okay.
Another movie people saw, Oppenheimer, already getting an Ultimate Collector's Edition. This is coming on November 18th in the UK from Universal, and it will have a 60-page abridged Unleashing Oppenheimer book, a soft touch and spot UV rigid slipcase, 3-disc gloss and debossed steelbook, double-sided poster and art cards, and special features on the bonus disc that I believe are new compared to last year already.
I thought Milucine was already putting out Unleashing Oppenheimer. Thank you.
That was Unleashing Oppenheimer.
There we go. Hell
very,
yeah.
very close.
This was one of the movies that everybody loved last year that, like, it's my favorite Nolan in a long time, but I've realized, and this is definitely a me thing, that Nolan, I still love Memento and The Dark Knight, and think those movies are great and have a lot of fondness for Nolan's earlier work, but this movie left me far colder than it did a lot of other people, and I will probably watch it again at some point, but not as over the moon for it as most people. I think I think there are some of the best sequences he's done in a long time that I've seen in the gymnasium. Is pretty powerful. I just don't think Nolan understands how human beings interact, which is not fair because you could say the same thing about Trap.
You like M. Night Shyamalan.
Who the fuck? But and then my response to that is, who cares? It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't catch up on this. I was too busy watching, 2023, Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm sorry, film. I'm sorry.
I love how Ronnie's comment about the last movie also works for Oppenheimer. Haven't seen it, but a lot of people say it goes very easy on the abuser.
Hey, now.
Mm.
You're talking about Leon or hold on?
I do think Cillian Murphy's amazing in Oppenheimer.
He was great.
Yeah, I just it's interesting. I finally caught up with JFK, and clearly, you know, and obviously knew that JFK had influenced Oppenheimer. And Oliver Stone and I don't always get along either, but I'm just like, oh, this is the unhinged biopic, but it's not even a biopic, but like, or I guess it is. It's a biopic based on potential bullshit. But I'm just like, oh, this is unhinged in the way I wanted Oppenheimer to be. And I feel like Nolan can be such a control freak that I almost wanted it to be something else. But that's not fair. For what it is, I think it's good. A movie that I will definitely revisit over time and hope that I just will go, oh, I was wrong the first time. Like, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm loving what you're saying about Nolan. I got to ask, how do you feel about The Prestige?
I do like The Prestige. I'm not as crazy about it as some people. I like it. I'd consider it like, I like it more than Oppenheimer. I think weirdly Memento is my favorite, and it has been since high school, and there's a lot of nostalgia as a I have towards that movie, which is certainly coloring every viewing I've had as an adult. But I feel like there's something about Nolan's movies when his brother helps write them that helps with the emotional connection I have to them. Did Jonathan co-write The Prestige, or is that just...
I think he did. I may be wrong, but I feel like that's... Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Then my argument doesn't really hold water. I like it. I feel like Nolan kind of uses characters like chess pieces, and there are certainly filmmakers where I'm sure you could say I enjoy their work and they do the same thing. And I will say this, I mean, every movie that Nolan makes is an event that I am always excited to go to, and they are original works that are not franchise films or, you know, sequels or whatnot. I mean, unless you have the Batman movies. But it's interesting to me how like his heightened over dramatic, like, I like when he's kind of in pulp mode. And I know that Memento can kind of fall into that with like just the standard film noir, but there's something about Memento and the focus on three main characters that when he starts, you know, I think some people can make the same argument about Wes Anderson when the dollhouses get too big and it's more about the ways everything can intertwine with one another. I feel like he's an element. Sometimes I like him more than I like Nolan, but now I'm just going, and I feel like Oppenheimer for like 45 minutes, so I'll just shut up. But anyway.
All right, next, let's talk about a movie that's celebrating its 20th anniversary, Shaun of the Dead, getting a 4K steelbook from Universal, also getting a standard 4K release of the 20th anniversary edition. Now, this one is an interesting one because the original 4K did not get rave reviews, but this has been upgraded with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, and there is a new piece with Edgar Wright on the 20-year anniversary on this. So if you're a super fan of the movie, you might want to pick this up. I actually really like the steelbook on this, except for it's really weird to put the director as a character on the front.
That is strange. Everything else I think is really cool, though.
Yeah,
I get why.
Back, but yeah,
I'd say this is still my favorite of Edgar Wright's films, and also, you know, the ones that sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the trilogy.
Cornetto.
Three Flavors Cornetto.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the triple Blu-ray pack. I've been wanting to get the 4K triple pack. But now that I'm hearing the Shaun of the Dead, which I'm pretty sure was the only one shot on film from that 3-pack, doesn't look the greatest. Now I'm just like, oh, so I have to buy two different things? Shoot me in the face. But yeah.
Well, now at this point, they'll probably do the same for the next two and release the 20th anniversary of both.
Great.
I love this movie. I still think Hot Fuzz is better, and I appreciate At World's End way more than most people. I think it deserves a rewatch that most people are
Yeah.
not willing to give it.
I like it. I've only seen it once though, but yeah, Shaun
I-
of the Dead I've seen 78 times probably.
Same. I do like The World's End more than most people, but agree that The World's End has a lot of pathos to it that I found pretty moving when I saw it. What, like 11 years
Agreed.
ago in a theater? Has it really been that long? Good lord.
Mhm. That's right.
Yeah, boy.
Next up is Friedkin's Bug, getting the
Oh.
4K release from Kino on November 26th. This is the one that they canceled and is now back on simply because Friedkin passed away. This is, of course, starring Ashley Judd, Michael Shannon, Harry Connick Jr., and like I mentioned earlier, no new extras on this at all.
I love
I
this
thought-
movie.
Did we lose you, Charlie?
Charlie, are you still there?
Oh, am I?
Well, now I can hear you.
Yeah, you're all good.
Go ahead,
Oh.
Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
I just got the imprint of this, like whenever that got announced. I got that and like Lenny at the same time. So I think I'm good on upgrading this. But top tier Oklahoma cinema right here, let me tell you.
I love it.
Yeah. Do any of you remember how they advertised this movie with like a 45-second trailer?
They're like, we can't advertise this.
Well, they implied that it was going to be like literal. The whole movie is ambiguous. I mean, and in my opinion, not even that really. But they had to sell it like it actually was about bugs.
Yep.
Yeah. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I have a weird memory that I think this opened the same day as the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And I remember going to my movie theater because I was a teenager and, we all went and saw Pirates on opening night. But I'm pretty sure that Bug was just banished to like the small theater in the corner. Just like it was
One with
that kid.
14 seats.
It was that kid at recess that's just like, I mean, I'll hang out with someone, but if you don't want to, it's fine. Just like kicking a rock, basically. Like they just.
They did in fact come out the same day, Charlie.
I don't know why my brain works this way.
Listen, we used to have counter programming like this. Okay. You're like, oh, Pirate Studios sold out. How about we go see Bug? Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Also,
On that note,
Ashley Judd's best performance. But anyway.
oh, interesting. Cattle
think.
Drive.
Yeah.
Coming from Kino on November 19th. This is from 1951 with Dean Stockwell and Joel McCrae. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be excited about this one. I've never seen of it. I don't know anything about it, this one. Either one of you into these classic Westerns?
I do love classic Westerns, but I haven't really gotten into them until, say, fairly recently. I don't know this one at all.
As Sibner is saying, how do you think this movie compares to Jade? That's what I need to.
I'm assuming that means Bug.
Yes.
Yes.
Jade is one of those weird movies where the opening shot is like, oh shit, like you're like, okay, this is totally a Friedkin movie, and then it gets a little boring, and then something insane will happen, and then it gets boring again, and then
It
I don't
has like
remember.
one of the greatest chase scenes ever. And then it
It's
gets boring again.
awesome. I don't remember who said it, but I think it was a podcast that was like, it is one of those movies that just kind of ends where you're like, wait, the movie's over, and then the movie itself is like, I guess. Like
The theatrical version is the ending to that. It's just like you literally just gave up. The director's cut makes sense,
yeah.
but the theatrical version legitimately just gives up. Like,
Yeah,
it's kind of nuts.
That's the version I saw. It's just,
Jade, not a good movie. Everybody check it out.
Perfect recommendation.
Yes.
Next up is one that caught some people by surprise. October
Oh.
22nd, Warner Brothers is releasing The Hitcher on 4K and on Blu-ray, their own damn self in the U.S. Thanks to the digital bits, Bill Hunt dropping this info. If you were wanting this one, it is the same scan and restoration as the second sight. But as far as special features, this has an audio commentary by Robert Harmon and Eric Red, and a new video interview with Robert Harmon, and a trailer, and that is it. Which, compared to the second sight, that is next to nothing. However, the hard part here for a lot of people, and I'm no way telling people please go out and buy this. Please don't take me for saying that. However, I'm willing to bet internally at Warner Brothers they're announcing this and saying, well, shit, if The Hitcher does well, we need to release a whole bunch more catalog titles. Maybe people will start buying these like crazy. And honestly, it's not going to do that great probably, because most people that are buying physical media have already pre-ordered from the UK.
Yeah, and also, why would you wait? It's like they started thinking about this like how long has Second Sight's been doing The Hitcher for, like, what, like 9.5 years now?
Well, yeah, it's been announced for about 3 years.
Yeah, like, you could have jumped on this, and like everybody that really has been waiting for The Hitcher already has that shit pre-ordered. So
The movie itself, though,
yeah, it's fun stuff.
I am glad it's getting released here. I think that means more people will have a chance to buy it, because as much as we all in the chat want to believe that everybody in the world imports physical media, most people do not. And just being able to go on Amazon and type in The Hitcher and see something pop up as a local release, this is a big deal. The other big deal, too, the 4K is $25 right now on Amazon to pre-order.
That's pretty great. Yeah.
That is a damn good price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So even though
Good stuff.
probably 75% of this chat has already pre-ordered the second sight release, this is still a very good thing that it's getting released.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got some titles coming from Umbrella, and I know next to nothing about this drop, but this seems like a Kevin drop, so let's see if I'm right on that. January 15th, they are releasing Severance from 2006. Is this one you've seen, Kevin?
No, I have not.
I have, back when I had Netflix delivering DVDs to my house in high school, but it has been so long that I do not remember anything about it. So I have, but if you showed it to me again, it would probably be a pretty fresh experience. So yeah, I remember it being fine, but yeah.
It is one that a lot of people in the comments seem to be very excited for.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just recently, like before we got on here, was on Umbrella because I was just like, I need to get the 4K a cure. And then I looked at the shipping and I was just like, I need to be able to get free shipping from Umbrella. So I added on like 2 other things. And I was like, now it's $900, but it's free shipping. Cool. But that Cure 4K set that they have is beautiful. I'll probably get that Trash Humpers limited, but not the full limited version or whatever.
The $40 release, not the $100 release.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. They don't have the limited edition of Bully anymore, which I'm upset with.
That one's pulled out quick.
But instead, I'll just get Martyrs because, of course, I will.
This one is, as usual, coming with a 48-page book with a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff. It's got a hard box and then a slipcase. Got 8 art cards, reversible poster, and it's a numbered box. And then as far as supplements, they've got an audio commentary with Christopher Smith, the director, and a whole bunch of people that were in this film. We got a new interview with the writer and director. We've got a new interview with the actor Andy Nyman, a bunch of featurettes from back in the day, some deleted scenes and outtakes. It sounds good. I'd like to see it for sure.
Then spend $80 on it, Ryan. What's wrong? It looks incredible. Like Umbrella's limited releases always look so good. I don't think I have any Umbrella anything, but I definitely, that Cure 4K might be my first foray into them.
That's dangerous to dip that toe for sure.
I'm already getting into Nova Media. It's fine.
Those are real dangerous. Next one from them is Metal Skin from 1994. Again, Blu-ray on January 15th. Same thing, 48-page book with a bunch of behind-the-scenes experiences and art with essays. Hard box case, 8 art cards, a reversible poster. It's numbered, And then same thing, audio commentary with the director, Jeffrey Wright, producer, composer, DP, a few other people. Brand new Q&A with Jeffrey Wright and the producer, Daniel Scharf, filmed at Fantastic Film Fest, where they screened Metal Skin, some original interviews from 95, and Loverboy from 88. It's a short film, and then the motion picture soundtrack is in this as well.
Goodness. Yeah, I've never even heard of this, but
Never heard of it.
Probably on my radar. I don't know.
I've never heard of Metal Skin, and weirdly, the only when I saw the title Loverboy, even though I haven't seen this movie, I was like, "Is that the movie Kevin Bacon directed?" And I was just like, "Oh no, that's a completely different movie."
A movie I have seen. It's ask me one thing about it, I would get it wrong.
Isn't it about like Kira Sedgwick's a bad mom or something?
Yeah, basically. I watched it because Sandra Bullock's in it. Sandra Bullock's in it for 30 seconds.
Oh man, that's great. Next one is Lars and the Real Girl, the only one that I knew anything about when this got announced. Also January 15th on Blu-ray in Australia. Most people know a little bit about this movie, so I'll just say same thing, 48-page book with essays, and then they've got the hardbox slipcase. They've got 8 art cards, reversible poster, numbered release, and then they got an audio commentary with the writer and critic Thomas Caldwell on this, audio essay by Josh Nelson, and then a couple featurettes and one deleted scene.
I have never seen this, and it's always been on my radar. It's been on my radar since it came out in 2007, and I somehow have just never gotten around to it because I know it has a huge following, or, devoted following at the very least. So,
yeah, I think I saw it like after Drive came out. Thought it was fine. I wish that Scream Factory would have done this because it would have been like $900, and you know what they would have included, right? A giant
An actual
snow globe.
doll.
No, a giant snow globe.
I think most people would agree this is Craig Gillespie's best film by a mile.
Probably, I don't know. I unfortunately every time I've somehow watched one of his movies, it's just exited my brain. So let me do some research.
I mean, I've seen I, Tonya. I have not seen Cruella or Dumb Money or Mr. Woodcock. I just know that a lot of people, whenever Craig Gillespie's brought up, a lot of people I know go, "Oh, but he did Lars and the Real Girl. That one's wonderful." And then,
I remember liking the remake of Fright Night.
I was about to say that the Fright Night remake was decent.
I never saw that movie. Is that now? I saw the original. I have not. I remember the remake being like someone describing it as it's a horror movie where Colin Farrell wants to fuck your mom, which I thought was a funny way of putting it.
Kinda.
I think that's every one of Colin Farrell movies.
Is it
even Tigerland or whatever that one's called?
You just change the genre out. He always wants to fuck your mom, though.
Yeah, him and Daredevil, man.
Oh,
him and the Batman. Unfortunately, he wants to fuck your mom.
This does feel like a Charlie movie. I will say that. It's decent. It's never been my favorite, but it's worth it.
My roommate's a big fan. Definitely need to catch up with it at some point. Maybe now is a good time.
That would be a good time. Next one is Creep from 2004, not the other Creep with Mark Duplass. I wish it was the other one. This one, 48-page book with some behind the scenes again, hardbox, slipcase, and then 8 art cards and a reversible poster, just like the rest of them. Very reminiscent of the Midnight Meat Train cover poster there.
I saw this like a little bit after it came out. Don't remember it. I remember not really caring about it, but I was also like, I don't know, fucking 12. But I've always wanted to rewatch it. Was he fucking my mom in the phone booth? Yes, he was, Christopher. I'm very sorry to bring you this information.
Oh my god.
I've never seen Creep. I would like to. This one has... oh, by the way, I forgot to say, this is the same director that we were just talking about a minute ago. It's also the same guy that did Triangle.
It's
I need to
Triangle is
watch
fantastic.
that. And Umbrella just put that out. Yeah.
Yep.
Triangle, has its moments. I mean, Melissa George is in Triangle, and I've always thought she's an underappreciated actor, and
Especially in that.
Yeah, she's very, very good. There's some images in Triangle that have stuck with me, even if I don't remember everything about it.
Speaking of mindfuck movies, Triangle is up there.
Yeah, there's I want to be able to say this without spoiling anything. There's a sequence in which you see a pile of bodies that is very memorable. I will say that.
That's a big big horror movie from like the past like 20 years that I haven't seen, and even that it's not like huge, but it's well known.
I'm not even sure that got like a huge theatrical release. It seemed like one of those that became like a huge like word of mouth on DVD thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it did very well on the Netflix DVD for like 3 years after it came out.
I was about to say that is either a early Netflix streaming movie or a Netflix on DVD ass movie. That's for sure.
Also, Liam Hemsworth is in it for some reason. I don't remember why.
Well, because it's an Aussie film.
Yeah, I was about to say like another Aussie film like that that horror comedy Black Sheep that went triple platinum on Netflix DVD. Let me tell you,
that one is Kiwi, not Aussie.
Fuck. Don't come for me.
People are already coming for me because I didn't like Oppenheimer. Sorry, everyone. So yeah.
This one also has a couple new interviews in this. We got the audio commentary with the director. I'm pretty stoked on this. They have a visual essay from Jarrett Gahan that's called "Mind the Gap: A History of British Locomotive Horror." I want to know all of the details that could possibly be known about that.
There's more than one? All right.
Yeah, some old archival Q&As, featurettes, making of, stuff like that. This, to me, is one of the most compelling from this month, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to rewatch it. It seems like something that's probably on Shudder all the time, but I just haven't,
Yeah.
I'm being told I sound like Giovanni Ribisi, sir. No. In what film? If it's a film from 1999, I'm kicking you out.
Perfect Stranger. The Halle Berry movie.
Oh, I was just like, you gotta lower that down. There's 90.
Oh right, yeah, we were just talking about
I was like, who is he in that movie? Is he the little kid?
Finally, from Umbrella is Hounds of Love. This is one that seems like more people had known. This is from 2016. Also coming on Blu-ray, and this one, same thing, 48-page book, hard box release, art cards, poster, all that same stuff. 2 new audio commentaries, one with the director, one with the critic Simon Morado. We've got Hounds of Love, an Australian crime cinema, visual essay by Travis Johnson, some interviews, and some short films. This looks like a pretty damn good release, too.
This is a brutal movie. I thought it was very powerful and effective, but I know a lot of people were pissed off by it. Has anyone else seen this one?
Saw it at Tribeca, didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, when it ends on a Joy Division song, I was like, you didn't earn that. Go back to the drawing board.
I had a hard time shaking this one off for a little bit. But yeah, it's a hard one to forget whether you like it or not. And it's a hard movie to like to begin with. But yeah.
I've not seen this one. I think, if I remember right, Arrow put this out years ago.
Really?
I think only in the UK or something. I've not fact checked myself, but I feel like they did.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That had to have been like 2018, 2019, something like that.
January 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does same as Charlie? I don't know how my memory works like that. He's got theatrical, I've got physical.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember release dates for shit. If somebody's like, when did the In the Line of Duty box set come out? I was like, in the past. I don't know. In some time.
Back in the day.
In high school, they were like, what was the date of this trade agreement? And it would be like, I don't know. Do you know when I Know Who Killed Me came out? Oh, yeah, the same day as the Simpsons movie in 2007.
There it
is.
Oh, that's pretty damn good. All right. Well, we talked about this one momentarily earlier. Blink Twice getting a Blu-ray release from Warner Brothers on November 5th. No word on any bonus features, so I'm guessing none, which I feel like this probably had some decent ones, considering it was literally just a bunch of friends filming on an island. They had all the time in the world, and we got nothing extra on this. Yeah.
You'd also consider there to be at least something, considering it's Zoe Kravitz's feature debut, right?
Right. It is, yeah.
Yeah. I also didn't know that she and Channing Tatum were together until they were in the Criterion Closet.
I didn't.
Together.
That's exactly the same thing I did. I was just like, oh, they're cute. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Next up, another big one. I Love Lucy, the complete series coming on Blu-ray on November 5th. And just so everybody knows for sure, this is going to have the remastered Lucy Desi Comedy Hour and a newly colorized and never before released Lucy and the Loving Cup episode. They've got some of the original broadcasts and then some original cast commentaries on this, the original openings and closings, a portion of 59 and CBS's fall preview special, an Eye on CBS featuring Lucille Ball and Vivian Vance. And this is probably going to be horrendous packaging that a lot of people will really want.
Yeah, I mean, it's CBS, so it's probably going to be the same type of packaging I have for the Twilight Zone complete series, where it's just one big old thing, you know. I wonder how much has MSRP been announced for this or anything?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
The artwork looks like one of the Mommy Dearest posters.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which I don't think is what they're going for. And
the title of the show looks like a watermark, not that it's a part of
it does.
Actual
art. It does. It looks like my email address on some screeners that I've been given in the past.
Yeah, oversized clam package. I mean, the Twilight, it's fine. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I got that on like a Black Friday sale for like $30. I can't complain too much. I mean, it's fine.
Why?
Yeah, I would not be surprised if this came out at about $120. I'd be pretty spot on there, Chris. I'd agree.
Yeah.
I wish I was on last week to talk about that Prisoner fucking
the crazy DVD set.
Shit. How many discs was that? Like 155?
178, I think.
I think I did the math. It was like if you put, even if it's all SD, if you put that shit on Blu-ray, it would have been like maybe like 15 or 20 discs. I don't understand. I do not understand.
I love that somebody in the chat last week pointed out that when you open the box, they play the sound of the prison door
when it closes. That's what your bank account's gonna sound like every time you check it after that. How much is that? Like 560 like Australian dollars?
US, it was like 450, something like that.
So 120 on Klarna. That's
7 kilograms to ship. So like almost 15 pounds or over 15 pounds, I think. Something like that.
Honey, it's me or the Prisoner Complete Series box set. Yeah.
Had 175 discs. Thanks, Key-Ray.
And that's more than the Dark Shadows one, too?
Oh, yeah. Dark Shadows is way less than that.
Oh, my God. That's insane.
Yeah. All right. We got a bunch of these mod 4K releases coming from Warner Brothers on October 22nd. First one up is Vacation from 2015. I never saw this, but literally everyone that I know that did thought it was surprisingly decent.
Have they been doing made-on-demand 4Ks?
Yeah.
They have? Okay.
I have weirdly only seen Christmas Vacation out of any vacation movie. Like, big blind spot for me.
Vegas Vacation, a lot of fun.
Vegas is great.
Yeah. Mr. Papa Giorgio, we love him.
Will just texted me to say they're lying to you. Vacation is not good. Oh man. Next one is Tag. This is from 2018, and this is a hell of a cast. Ed Helms, Jake Johnson, Hannibal Buress, Isla Fisher. I said his last name weird. Hannibal Buress, John Hamm, Jeremy Renner, and then this movie is super fun until the last like 8 minutes, and then it gets super fucking weird with the miscarriage storyline.
What?
What?
Yes. Super fun movie, and then they just go off of a cliff.
And in the last 8 minutes of a movie, there's a comedy with these people.
A film called Tag.
There's a miscarriage.
Yeah, if nobody has seen this, I suggest everybody go watch it because that last moment sticks with you, and not for the best reasons. It's certainly weird and feels very out of place. It takes it from like a high B+, very decent comedy to what the shit. Like this, you just did not know how to end a movie, and said, "Let's throw some emotion at it."
That sounds like they tried to like be like that sounds like Fat Girl or something, like a yacht movie where they're just like, and we're just gonna throw this curveball at you in the last 5 minutes. Like,
Oh, it was cancer too. Yeah, that's right. Forgot about
What is going on?
that. Game Night is definitely way better.
Oh, Game Night rules.
Yeah, Game Night's hysterical.
Yeah.
Anyways, enough about miscarriages. The next one is The Intern from 2015.
Hell yeah.
I've never seen this, but I've heard I've heard this described as the best film to watch on an airplane ever.
Probably. It's probably my favorite Nancy Myers movie, but it's fun. I like
I've
it.
never seen it either. I need to catch up with Nancy Myers. I haven't even seen The Holiday. I need to.
Oh, well, you have to take off PTO like for 2 fucking weeks to watch that 90-minute long movie. Even it's longer than Satan Tango and shit.
I disagree. I really like The Holiday. Anyways,
I don't think it's bad. I just think it's so long. It's so long.
it does have pacing problems, that's for sure. Brian says he worked on this.
Did everybody in the chat work on every movie that we're talking about? Sibner also said he worked on Perfect Strangers. I need to pick this person's brain.
D. Sibner and the Wonderment Project are both New York boys. They've both got a hell of a resume.
Gotcha.
Aaron says this was surprisingly fun.
Yeah.
Craig says love De Niro, and this is fine, but his character is a little too perfect.
He's an old man. Of course he's perfect. Come on
now. This is hilarious. So December 16th in the UK, they are giving Signs the 4K Steelbook. I just hope they go in and spell Shyamalan's last name right. Before
Oh, no.
Come on.
I was about to say this is so much better than that piece of shit.
However,
cover, but
I didn't even notice that. Wow.
oh god.
What if they put it out and then recall it, and then people start selling this on eBay for $400? I need to pre-order this.
Also, is that just maybe it isn't even like is that just the plant? So the Earth is just a crop field?
yes.
I mean,
It's
that
not
sounds.
good art.
It was an original poster for the movie. I mean, I
It
liked
was,
it.
yeah.
Was it?
Okay. Yes. I wish it was just the orange one sheet with the actual crop, but I mean, it's better than the AI mess that we got. And you think this is bad, Charlie? Wait till you see the next one.
I will point out before we go to the next one, these two are both HMV exclusives, which means they don't ship anywhere unless you're in the UK. So good luck trying to get one of these. It's going to be rough. But like Kevin said, here is also releasing the same day, December 16th, the 4K Steelbook for the 6th Sense.
Oh, stop it.
It's so bad.
This is such a great movie, and this is the Steelbook art.
That doesn't
you
even make sense.
If you look closer, you can see Joan Chin's
Jesus
face.
Christ.
No, I'm kidding.
What isn't there just one shot of Haley Joel Osment grabbing the doorknob? What
No, that's what the whole movie was about, Charlie. If this was a DVD back in like the mid 2000s where they had very oddly specific special edition titles, it would have been like the doorknob edition. You're like, what?
I've been waiting for this one in particular because I mean, what a hot take! This is my favorite Shyamalan movie, but like I've been waiting for this movie to come out on 4K for so long. But God,
It really does.
Roddy asked, "Is that a skunk?"
it does look like a skunk. That
Signs
actually. Oh, sorry.
Signs is definitely my favorite, so I want that steelbook, but I don't want to import it, so I'll wait and see if the US will take it. But what is this? What is this?
Now I
They
just imagined. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
All I was going to say is they could have just put the back on the front, and it would have been better. This
Yeah,
is
that's awesome.
a list
That's
of
the
the
theatrical poster.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it is also crazy that you think about like how this was one of the biggest movies of 1999 and of the 90s, and like you look at the original posters, it was just the back of this artwork, and then the other poster was Haley Joel Osment and Bruce Willis's faces. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Jesus Christ.
Why is there no color? Yeah, that's a big thing, especially in a film that literally is about color. Like
Mhm.
that's half of the joy here, and there's no
Put some
color.
red in there. Goodness.
All right, enough of
Good
the bad
call.
art. Let's go to this one. Gravitas Ventures is releasing the Blu-ray BDR release of Between the Beats from this year on October 15th. This is talking about San Francisco being the epicenter of the American rave scene, and I believe
Excuse me?
it is a documentary.
Ooh, I have not heard of this, and rave culture in the 90s is entirely my shit, so I am checking this out.
Next one, Little Boxes is, I believe, the third release from Tribeca from their physical media side. This is also a BDR coming on October 29th, and I've heard that this is supposed to be great. This is from 2016, so them reaching back 8 years, that's pretty damn cool that they're putting some festival stuff out like this.
Melanie Linsky's in it. I'll watch it.
I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this one, Charlie? This feels like one you might have caught.
I haven't, but yes, as Kevin said, I will pretty much watch anything that Melanie Linsky's in. And yeah.
You did not work on several raves in San Francisco in the 90s. Stop the count, all right? Especially you, Ryan. Come on.
Oh, that is hilarious. Oh my gosh. All right. Deadpool and Wolverine coming on 4K and Blu-ray and DVD and probably something else. This is coming on October 22nd. And of course, because it's Disney, they are releasing a Deadpool version of the Steelbook and a Wolverine version of the Steelbook. So you will buy both of them. This is going to have surprisingly large list of special features, but I have a feeling they're going to be very short. So it'll be classic Disney at the end of the day. But if you don't want one of those, they're also doing this special Walmart pop-up edition. The catch here, this will be Blu-ray only. So if you really like this pop-up slipcover and you want 4K, you can't have both without buying both.
Now, this is a Charlie movie.
If for some reason those aren't sticking out to you enough, there is a standard 4K and Blu-ray release and DVD release coming.
Do they have a one-click option for this?
I mean, they will eventually. Nova Media definitely will.
Yeah, that's true. I don't understand the one-click thing, and then I saw Nova Media releases of Teton, and I was just like, kind of need all of those, actually.
I think I have one single one-click left.
What was
I
that?
had like 3, and I sold 2. I've got the Grindhouse one-click. So it's 3 versions of 2 different movies. For what reason? Not sure. Still no pre-order in Australia, says Keyray. Still no pre-order here either, to be honest. This has not been up for pre-order anywhere yet.
Is it still like dominating the box office in the US?
Probably.
Is that still happening?
I don't think it's dominated in a good 3 or weeks. I think Beetlejuice finally took it out. But yeah. Anyways, that's enough on Marvel. Let's go to this one that made me insanely happy today. December 9th, Eureka is releasing The Secret of Nim from 1982. This is the Don Bluth animation masterpiece. Now, before I gush about how much I love Don Bluth, this is worrisome to me because this says it's a 1080p HD presentation on Blu-ray from a studio-supplied master. And the old Blu-ray was hot fucking garbage. I hope that this looks at least a little better. Maybe they did something since then because it's been a very long time. But this movie is incredible, and I wish it had a decent release. I would love a 4K release of this.
Yeah, I have not seen this movie in, I want to say 15 or 20 years, but it's stuck with me, and it's one of those movies that as a kid I loved and was in rotation, but there was a certain point where you get to in this movie where it just becomes horrifying. And it was it is the lab flashback as a kid. Like there are certain moments in the first 40 minutes of this movie that are a little blurry to me, but when you find out what's been going on, that shit as a kid just fucked me up.
Yep.
Bad.
Pretty much every Don Bluth film will do that at some point for you.
Yeah.
Who put out the Blu-ray previously? Was it just an MGM?
Just the studio, yeah.
I would love to revisit this. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Is all the special features carried over from them, or are these all new Eureka ones?
I think there's a couple, like there's an archival featurette on Secrets Behind the Screen, but that's the big joy here, is there's all kinds of new stuff. Sam Summers, who's an animation scholar and the author of DreamWorks Animation, Intertextuality and Aesthetics, and Shrek and Beyond. There is new audio commentary coming there. Archival audio commentary with Don Bluth and the producer Gary Goldman. New on-camera interview with Don Bluth, which is amazing.
Wow.
New on-camera appreciation of The Secret of NIMH with the animation expert and fan Stacey Abbott. New visual essay by children's media expert Catherine Lester on motherhood in The Secret of NIMH, which that's like the whole backbone of the story.
Yeah.
Collector's booklet featuring new writing on Don Bluth and The Secret of NIMH by Peter C. Coons, author of Staging and a Comeback, Broadway Hollywood, and the Disney Renaissance. I mean, the fact that this is $21.99 on the Eureka website and they don't charge shipping, I need this. Yeah.
They don't charge shipping on the Eureka website?
Eureka website is free worldwide shipping, except for like they started charging shipping in Japan, I think. Free shipping to the US, and I know you love them.
The rabbit hole of Hong Kong movies that I've been going down, and hearing that, god damn it.
Kevin,
Great to hear, but awful.
Did you grow up with this one, Kevin?
I can't remember it. My Don Bluth movie, of course, was Titan AE. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it does have the most new metal soundtrack out of all the Don Bluth movies.
Of course. What is it? Didn't the trailer have like Higher by Creed? Of course
it did.
Yeah, come on now. I think was Fifo Goes West, was that a Don Bluth joint?
That was Don Bluth.
Okay.
Fifo Goes West was not an American Tale. The first one was Don Bluth.
Okay, American Tale. I have more memories with that. It's still kind of fuzzy, but I remember watching that over this. But
me being the little gay boy that I am, I was obsessed with Anastasia, which I'm sure
that's my favorite. I love Anastasia.
I loved Anastasia. I know I have been afraid to revisit it based on the way that I'm sure the history is a little fucked up. but my God, like the sequences in that movie just blew my mind as a child.
How many movies does Don Bluth have? Like 5 or 6? Sorry.
No, actually, altogether he's got like 7 or 8. It's more than you think, but it's not that many. I did a Directors Club episode on their podcast last year on him, and it was one of the most enjoyable revisits of everything I've ever had. Adore most of them. He's got like 2.5 terrible movies, and then Titan AE has just the most bland voice acting ever. But other than that,
Matt Damon is asleep making that
movie. There's one he's like, quick, guard the door, or something like that.
Yeah. I think one of the terrible movies that you are considering is the first one that I grew up with, which I'm sure isn't good, but I had on VHS and in rotation as a kid. Is one of those The Pebble and the Penguin?
I would put that around the terrible line. Yes, it would at least be close to it. I think the worst by far, though, is The Troll in Central Park.
That I know is supposed to be, notoriously bad. I mean, wasn't there like a Big Trouble production with that one? And
I think he was supposed to be doing something more with the whole amblimation at the time, and then something happened, and he went to spit out Troll in Central Park quickly. Thumbelina was actually pretty bad on rewatch too.
Oh, that's a movie I saw as a kid that I don't have any memory of at all. Also, hi Tyler.
Oh, hey Tyler. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was listening, but also looking up Eureka, and God damn it.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
I need that Black Mass Blu-ray so bad. It's gonna happen.
Man, we're back. We're back was huge for me.
Yeah, I remember that.
We're back is a big one.
I also had the Super Nintendo game, which kind of sucked.
Oh my, yeah.
Like I loved it as a kid, but I remember being like, "Cool, you get to be the T-Rex voiced by John Goodman. Why can I barely move. Like, why
Classic
do I
video
have to
game
throw?
you rented and quit
Yeah.
playing 5 minutes in. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to be a T-Rex. I have to stomp on window washers.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, that is Don Bluth. And I don't remember if I said, but I love that Eureka is giving him the respect, and this is going to be in the Masters of Cinema collection. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Next one, though, Horrible History, 4 Historical Epics by Cheng Che. This is coming in both the UK and North America. December 9th in the UK, December 10th in North America. And the films that we're getting here, Marco Polo, The Pirate, Boxer Rebellion, and Four Riders. Again, I have not seen any of these, but I've heard that they are fantastic, and this is a really great box set. This is a Shaw Brothers studio box, so anybody who's super into Shaw Brothers, yet another thing for you to take a look at. This was all master supplied by Celestial Pictures. We've got 2 new commentaries by Frank Jang in this and Michael Worth. 2 new commentaries with Mike Leader and Arna Venema. I almost said Arna Cinema. 2 new interview with Hong Kong cinema scholar Wayne Wong on Boxer Rebellion. New visual essay on Cheng Che's historical films by Jonathan Clements. And then, of course, a booklet in this one.
I will basically probably buy any release that has commentaries from Frank Jang or Mike Leader and all of them because so informative, especially Frank Jang. I went through all the commentaries. I ripped them and listened to them while I was at work of In the Line of Duty, and it was so much fun. So
he is great on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks good. I'm eager for this one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ray Liotta from earlier, 1992, which was released just this year from Lionsgate, getting a Blu-ray and DVD on November 5th. This also stars Tyrese and Scott Eastwood.
Put out by Death Row Films, their first film.
Do you think Scott Eastwood is the substance version of his dad? And that's why he's been able to live so long. I say this as someone who loves Clint. Like, I do.
Dad, I just need one more day. We're shooting the cover of Vogue.
All right. Next one is
Jesus Christ.
A film like I feel like nobody went and saw. Harold and the Purple Crayon from just like 14 days ago in the theaters. Getting a Blu-ray DVD release on October 8th. There are some special features on this. Just a few shorties, it looks like. Hey, anybody see this one?
No.
No.
I was waiting for yes, and I'm a staunch defender.
No, I mean, I loved the book, but Zachary Levi, I don't want him anywhere near my eyes. No.
Can we please go back? I need to read the quote. That's
absolutely. Yes, you got it.
Usually movies are just like fantastic. Zachary Levi knocks it out of the park. A world of pure imagination. That's barely even anything positive. This movie, it's got imagination in it. It's pure. Is it great? Didn't say that.
Yeah, this is not choice. California from 1947, getting a Blu-ray release from Kino on November 19th. Yet another Barbara Stanwyck film. We've also got Anthony Quinn in this, Ray Milland. This should be pretty decent.
Yeah, adding that to my list. I love Barbara Stanwyck.
Moving right along, Via Vision is putting out a couple 4K releases on December 4th out of Australia. First one is To Kill a Mockingbird. This will be an HDR10 presentation of the film on 4K. And it looks like, from what I can tell, most of this is all archival features. There's a couple of these that are not labeled as new, but I don't remember them being on the other one. They may be. But their other release is Field of Dreams, coming on 4K as well. This is coming in a numbered 3D lenticular hard case. Again, HDR10 presentation of the film on 4K. Blu-ray will also be included, and I don't think there's anything new on this one either.
Is Via Vision the company that put out the Substitute collection?
Yes.
do they just do lenticular covers for images that don't need lenticular covers?
Sort of, yes. For a lot of their like special edition, it's their way to get people to buy them. And keep in mind
Right.
too, Via Vision is the company that owns Imprint.
Yes, yes.
They're also the one that are doing the big release of The Prisoner. So,
man, they were like, man, the same way that Criterion would be like, okay, we'll put out Breakfast Club so that we can put out little titles. It's just like, we'll give you Field of Dreams so that we can give you 700 discs of Prisoner. This is our passion project.
what's funny is that's not even their first release of Prisoner. They've already done a bigger DVD release of that in the past, like 12 years ago.
I've found
it
that
had-
somebody.
It had like 4 more discs.
Oh my goodness. There's got to be somebody that's like a shareholder that's just like, all right, guys, we'll give you money. But at the end of 2024, you know what I need. And there's like, God damn it. 175 lenticular covers. I would buy that box set. That's right. Just 175 lenticular covers of a door moving.
Kino Lorber also announced today that their fall sale has started, and there are over 750 titles in the sale, free shipping at $50 or above, and ends on October 21st. You got a long time to make a decision, almost a full month as usual. I know for a lot of people this feels a little early, but keep in mind there's a lot of sales coming up, so it's probably a good idea if you want Kino to jump on this right now. Heads up that Scream Factory Shocktober sale starts next week. We've got Criterion 24-hour flash sale happening probably the second week of October. We've got a Target buy 2 get 1 free sale happening the second week of October. It is that time of the year. Mondo Macabro sale happens in October. November, of course, is everybody's Black Friday sale. And here we are.
I might have to get the train during this Kino Lorber sale, because they released the 4K of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just watched that for the first time this year. Holy shit, what a movie.
I've already made my cart for Kino. I'm gonna get A Wife of a Spy. I'm gonna get the Patricia Rosema movies that they put out that I don't have yet. Slam, Poison, Lust Caution, CB4, and Bad Lieutenant on 4K. That's it.
Oh, I need to get Bad Lieutenant on 4K too, and I have Lust Caution. Lust Caution, definitely worth it. Blindly bought that one. Tai Wei, incredible performance, and Ang Lee. I mean, kind of wild that that's the film he made right after Brokeback, but also it makes sense, but also is like such a big swing at the same time.
Oh yeah, after Brokeback, he was just like, give me my blank check, I'll give you an NC-17 movie that'll go to 3 theaters. And they're just like, whatever you want, sir. Yeah, and as Sibner is saying, 30 new Vinegar Syndrome OCN titles next month. And I still haven't got much.
And by next month, he means next week, literally October.
Yeah.
My big recommendation for things that don't ever get mentioned enough. This is the first time, I think, in a year or two that all of the Forbidden Fruit titles, the ones that are in conjunction with something weird, every single one is on sale except for the newest one that literally just came out. That makes sense. But there are 17 out. The first 16 are $9.99 or less. I don't remember if the earliest ones are a little bit less, but they're all $9.99 is the most you'll pay for any of them. And those are freaking great. Like, they are such a crazy weird snapshot in time. I don't think anybody really needs all of them, probably, but if you want them all, I'm sure you'll love at least something on all of them. If something is enticing to you in any way, go look at 1 or 2 of them and just say, this really, like one of them that's got the original Reefer Madness on it. Go check that out. Just as a weird drug scare flick, it's a really interesting piece of history. There are some others that will probably pique your interest. It's a good time to check out those.
Yeah, I also saw that they had the Outer Limits season 1 and 2 on sale, and I was just like, can't stop. I need that too.
I went into it thinking I'm just going to browse. I definitely don't need anything, but as I'm looking, if there's something I'm considering, I'll put it in the cart and just look at the end. And I just accidentally had $210 in the cart. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Right now in my cart, I have oh God, it's the Opera Collector's Edition from
Severin,
along with the Out of the Blue 4K, and
Oh yeah, you've been wanting that. You got to.
that and Opera, where I'm like, obviously October's coming up. I haven't seen that Argento film in a decade, and then out of the blue, I've been wanting for a very long time. Even though it's going to take a lot for me to watch that movie.
Yeah,
again.
get that in the mail and throw it on, man. Yeah,
release is amazing. Ronnie is saying the Jewish Soul, the 10 classics of Yiddish cinemas on sale, highly recommended.
nice.
John is pointing out the Raro titles are on sale. Check those out. Brian shouting out The Girl on the Bridge. He says, love that movie so much. Can't recommend it enough. Lots of stuff listed for sure. Couple more to talk about.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm trying to remember Girl on the Bridge because Patrice LeConte. Yep. Okay. Yep.
They just released that fairly recently.
Yeah.
On the Road with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. They're putting out a box set collection of all, I believe it's 7 films. This is coming on November 26th on Blu-ray from Kino. Now, these are nothing new. There's not been anything added to these. It's just bundling everything together. It'll be a little cheaper to buy this, I'm sure. And then next year in a sale, this will probably be much, much cheaper than that even. The important thing potentially to point out is that Road to Rio and Road to Bali do not have any subtitles. So only 5 out of 7 have subs. And only a couple have got commentaries. And yeah, only a couple small featurettes outside of that. But this will probably be super cheap, like I said. Nice looking.
Very nice.
Next up is Janus Contemporaries announced their next 2 releases from Criterion. December 10th, Blu-ray release of The Beast. They're also putting this out on DVD as well. This is the Bertrand Bonello film. A lot of people saw this year because it played, I think it opened at a couple festivals last year, but most people saw that this year. As usual on this Janus Contemporaries, a Meet the Filmmakers featurette and a trailer, and that is it.
Bare bones, what this movie deserves.
Oh, fuck off. So I think this is the best film of the year so far, and Kevin hates it with every fiber of his being, I want to say.
Yikes.
I love this movie. I left the theater pretty shaken up. I got home. I will also say there's a home invasion sequence in this movie. Don't want to say anything more than that, but I was unable to stop thinking about this movie all the way home to the point that it just really rattled me up. And then I got home after this very tense, scary movie, and my back door was open because my roommate forgot to lock our back door after letting our dog out. And it's been a long time since I've just stood in after shutting the front door and just been completely paralyzed by fear just because of that. And my roommate was like, what oh, sorry, I forgot. And I was like, it's just because this fucking movie fucked me up. But watching it a second time only solidified just how brilliant I think this movie is, and deeply scary, because I think, especially with the way AI has felt eerily prescient in the ways it's looming over everything right now, this movie felt like a warning in the best possible way. But I don't think. But Kevin didn't like it.
Did you watch this a second time, Kevin?
Christ, no. I would rather watch freaking every bad movie we've ever covered. I would rather watch that Clockwork Orange style than rewatching this.
Jesus Christ.
Well, maybe you're more into the second announcement, which is Evil Does Not Exist. This is the next Ryusuke Hamaguchi film coming on December 17th on Blu-ray and DVD. And once again, Meet the Filmmaker, new interview with the director, which we already know him because you released his other film in the collection already. It's kind of weird that this is coming to Janus Contemporaries and not just the collection, considering the accolades this has gotten.
Yeah. I love this movie too. I'm actually eager to see this one again because like The Beast, it has a stunner of an ending. The Beast, it was like one of those things where and I promise I'm not spoiling anything, but The Beast was, did what just happen? Is what I think just happened? Did that just happen? And then I realized, yes, that in fact did happen, and that's a chilling final note to go out on. This one also is a chilling final note to go out on, and I didn't fully understand it, but I think that's also part of the point, and it's lingered with me for the past several months. And also just has one sequence that takes place in a town hall that I think lasts like 10 minutes and is just a bunch of people just debating the ethics of certain environmental an environmental development that they are proposing on their town that is like one of the most riveting things I've seen in a movie all year. And it's a much different type of movie than Drive My Car, which I also loved, and even Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy, which I also loved as well. But yeah, I think this is one of the top 5 films of the year as well. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Did you see this one yet, Kevin?
No, I haven't. You know what's in my top 5 this year? Tarot. Fun movie. Don't care. No, but I watched Drive My Car and was not that big of a fan of it, but I haven't watched any of his other stuff, so I'm not sure what I should watch. That's the second movie from him.
My favorite, it's all of his movies are a little different. I mean, they are very much Hamaguchi films, but like you can tell that, you know, his fingerprints are all over them in one way or another. But Asako 1 and 2 was the first one I saw, and I went into that completely blind and saw that at like a 3:30 showing on a Friday afternoon, and was just like, okay, I'll just go to this movie by myself. And then like, I think an hour and a half into that movie, I just broke down sobbing and was like, thank God I'm seeing this movie by myself, because this movie is hurting me in the best possible way, but I can't be around people right now. And thank God this theater is empty too, or at least for a matinee show, because I feel like I'm turning into a puddle. But yeah.
That I think that got a release from Grasshopper, right?
Yes, I do own the Grasshopper release. It's a fantastic release.
Maybe I'll watch this since it's a stealth thriller, which makes me feel like it's not really a thriller.
It's more of a drama. There's the third act takes a turn that I don't want to say you can't see it coming, but like it's ambiguous as to why characters behave in certain ways that will leave you pondering. It is, I will say, I saw it at an IFF Boston screening, and you could tell everybody was locked into Evil Does Not Exist for the first hour, and you could tell as the credits rolled, you could basically hear people being like, wait, what? Huh? Like, but in a way that I loved, but you could tell other people were like, huh, don't know what to make of those last 10 minutes, but I think I liked it up until then. But I found it very provocative and, you know, thought-provoking. So,
well, we got one more announcement that was not ambiguous, and most people hated that. Alien Romulus getting a 4K Steelbook and a standard 4K and Blu-ray release. This is coming out December 3rd from 20th Century Studios. And I gotta admit, I absolutely hate the art on the Steelbook.
If it's not AI, it looks like AI. So
yeah,
not well accomplished.
I don't like the artwork, and I didn't like the movie either. So, but I feel slightly more confident in saying that without getting too much hate from the chat about this one. I don't know.
I'm right there with you, Charlie. But also, just on the art tip, it's like every poster they released for this movie is like 10 out of 10, and you couldn't have chose one of those, you know?
Yeah.
It does look like a video game cover. That's
It
true.
looks like a video game cover, but also the first time I saw it, I went, "Is this for Stranger Things?" 'Cause
It does have the exact same color palette as Stranger Things, doesn't it?
on the extras, we've got a lot in here, but again, it's not listing how
YouTube
long they
special
are.
features.
Yeah, it's basically like, look at the Easter eggs that you missed, meet the stars, explore the practical sets. Come on.
Alternate extended scenes. Check out scenes that didn't make the final cut. Yeah, I know what that means.
Yeah.
And then, like I showed, this is the 4K slip, and then they inverted the colors. This is the Blu-ray slip.
I honestly don't think the poster. I mean, that is the original poster.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Kicks ass. Yeah, kicks ass.
I wish that would have been the steal.
Yeah.
I don't know why do they make big decisions like because it's like you have this right here, like yeah.
Ryan asks, does Bryden hate physical media? What's up? He is still watching DVDs from 2005. He has about good 900 DVDs from back in the day. If there's ever a 2-pack with movies you forgot about, he is ripping off the packaging of that, and he is getting hyped as shit. So
yeah, so that's Alien Romulus, and yeah, this is not Bryden. One of these days we got to get him on here.
We do have to get him on here.
As usual, after that, we always talk about what is coming out next week, in case you forgot. And it's a decent week. We've got the Blob 4K Steelbook coming from Scream Factory, West Wing Complete Series coming out on Blue, Paramount Scares Volume 2 4K, As Above, So Below from Scream Factory, Body and Soul from Kino, Burn Witch Burn, that Imaginary 4K Steelbook, the Memento Mori. This was delayed, so don't be looking for that next week. First Love from Kino as well. The Billy Bevan Silent Comedian is coming out soon, and that's it.
wow.
What I did there is tricked a little bit to warn everybody. It's about to get insane. I wanted to take a moment to say, look at the release dates that are coming up. October, November, and early December are filled with literally like a few hundred massive releases. Not even kidding. It is going to be a huge period for people that buy a lot. It's going to be a very difficult period for people that don't buy too much. Obviously, keep in mind how you're buying, how you're not putting yourself in debt. Don't do anything to keep up with other people. It's not anything crazy. A lot of the stuff will be around for a long time. Stuff like Paramount Scares, it feels like it's semi-cheap, but it's also got a movie less than last year's version. And that one is still in stock and has gone on sale many, many times. So don't fall for FOMO. No reason to. We're all here to support each other. You'll be able to watch these for years, I promise.
Just the Scream and Shout Factory stuff that leaked for December, and they came out and it was just like, oh yeah, there's more in December. Don't worry. I'm just like,
Right.
huh? Because that Golden Harvest Volume 2, if it's anything like Volume 1, which is probably that and the Second Sight Blair Witch are my most anticipated for the rest of the year. If it's anything like that, I mean, yeah, that's mine.
I know in the second version there are some crossover from some previous Eureka releases, which some people aren't going to love, but they've never had Blu-ray releases in the States, so that's still a good thing.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't ask anything next week you guys are into or looking to pick up soon.
I mean, I like as Above, So Below, but I got the $6 Blu-ray and that'll be fine.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that movie though.
I need to catch up with that one. I missed that movie's 10 years old this year, right?
Yes.
At least.
Shit. Yeah, maybe even more.
Yeah, I kind of burst my bubble already, but I've got Opera in the in my checkout page, and I've yet to pull the trigger, but it will probably happen along with Out of the Blue. So
amazing. Two incredible releases.
Yeah.
All right. So the discussion tonight is horror from 2000 to 2009. Why'd we pick this, Kevin?
Well, like I said, I was just like, that would be more difficult because I always think that Horrors 2000 is like pretty bad. But then, like I said, I made my top 10 in like 5 minutes and then had like 20 honorable mentions. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Honestly, if it was 90s horror, it'd probably be harder. Because that everything like pre-Scream is just like the runoff of like Freddy and Jason sequels,
Yep.
kind of, and then after Scream, it's just like, oh, so you really want movies with teens getting killed? It's like, no, we liked Scream because it's making fun of them, and like, so you want urban legend? It's like yes and no. Yeah. So 2000s, a lot of good trends happening. Got the torture porn, but on the reverse. You got in France, you got New French Extremity doing stuff. You got a really good independent wave of horror movies coming on. Found footage is starting to get in its foothold in it. Might take a little bit more years, kind of by the end of the year, but a lot more indie found footage at the time. I don't know. There was just a lot of cool stuff happening, actually.
Not revealing titles. After you made your list, Charlie, was there anything that you felt like you discovered a through line through what you were picking?
That's a very good question. I think some of these picks I did try and just go with my gut and go with my heart, because horror is a genre that I felt very connected to, and I think the 2000s were actually when I really started getting into it, because I was a real fraidy cat growing up. And then this was when I started seeking out horror films during their times of release. I would say I don't know if there's a big through line. I think there's some that are basic picks that I kind of looked at the end and I went, but you'd be lying if you didn't include some of these.
Right.
And, that's just, I will say, because I don't want to spoil anything. I will just say this. My number one, I can see people being like, that's not horror, but I dare you to tell me that there aren't some of the scariest sequences of any movie from this decade in that movie. And I'm not gonna lie, I texted a few people, and I didn't text Kevin because I didn't want to spoil what my list is, but I texted, would you consider this horror? And I got a few but mostly yeses. So my number one might be controversial in that it might not be fully a genre pick, but it's when it comes to it's one of my favorite movies, so I just had to include it.
Did either of you impose any rules on yourself, like only including one from a franchise or a director or something?
Yes, I did. I didn't do any overlap with filmmakers. I tried to make it diverse, although I don't know how much I succeeded. I think I overlapped with one subgenre of horror, which I will get into when I reveal. Yeah. Yeah, I also think there's definitely one of these movies that might not have been on my list had I not rewatched it about a month ago. Ooh. But then when it comes down to it and my history with horror, it's just vital in how I got into the genre. But I also think it's also a film, oddly enough, that I can see some people being like, that's not horror, but it's considered a scary movie. And it is so, and it has been mentioned already. I'll just bring that up. So, I kind of go loosey goosey with this sort of stuff. I mean, I've written for horror sites where, I've been like, does it have to be pure genre? And they're like, whatever you consider horror applies. I don't know if either of you had any I should throw that question right back at you, Ryan and Kevin. Did either of you have any rules or overlaps? Or
I didn't want to do horror comedy just so I could kind of trim it out, because if I did, it would be like Shaun of the Dead #1. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. I do have one on here that is comedy horror, but I would say it's like more horror than comedy. And then one on here that's kind of more of a drama, but also more of a sci-fi. I'm still considering nixing it for that reason, but there's definitely a through line. It seems to be more later half of the decade. I have 4 movies from 2008 here, one from 07 and one
Really?
from 06, and only, well, I guess 4 from the first 5 years, 6 from the last. But there's definitely a through line of a certain type of subgenre and a certain type of extremeness, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely trying to stick to only one film per franchise. I definitely didn't want to go double up from one franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly was not thinking of directors. I think I may have doubled up on one now that I'm looking at it. And well, I guess that's counting my honorable mentions too. My big thing though is half my list is from 1 year. And
Wow.
that surprised the hell out of me. And I've even got more from that year in my honorable mentions. Did not expect that whatsoever. But I must have really enjoyed that year. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get into it. Kevin, why don't you kick us off? What's your number 10?
I thankfully have all of these on physical, so I will be showing them off. Let's just set the tone. Just know that I am not fucking around. Number 10, August Underground's Mortem.
Oh shit.
That's right.
Didn't you buy that when you came to visit me?
That's right. Try to say this as quickly as possible. Watch this in high school. Watch the entire trilogy in high school. It disturbed me so much I didn't want to watch horror movies for like months afterwards. When I was visiting Charlie back in March, saw this at the archive, and kind of as a way to let's just say I was in a previous relationship where if I watched something like this, they would you know what, never mind. Kind of bought this to be like, you know what, fuck you, I'm gonna watch this, I'm not gonna feel judgment, etc. Put it on, and going through the special features with Fred Vogel and all of that, I mean, it has a power that I don't think any other movie can, and most directors would say, yeah, I don't need that. So
Right.
good on you for doing it, but no, I don't need that power. Yeah, it's a one of one. Is it an incredible movie? No, it gets pretty boring, but also it's a document of serial killers and they're fucking boring. And this movie is also one of the positives of it. It does not glamorize them. It doesn't show that they're cool or what they're doing is awesome. Like even Fred Vogel has said, he's like, no, these are losers. Like that you should feel not bored, but just like overwhelmed, because it's just like no, I don't want to be in this world. So to have a movie, just don't ask them to role play with you, Kevin. Okay. But just to like have a movie that is just like not afraid to go there, even if like maybe when you're watching it, it's just like maybe you should have not gone there. Like it's everything you think it is, plus like 50 times more. So that's number 10.
I should point out too that we decided on doing 10 favorites and not like the best 10, because many of my honorable mentions would have been on the list instead. But yeah, these are ones that
Mm-hmm.
probably had a big impact on us, or are ones that we look at as important to us for one reason or another, and that I can see being a decent pick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will go in with my 10, then we'll let Charlie go. My number 10 is from 2008, the year Kevin mentioned. I think this is easily the most unique zombie movie to come out of the decade. Have to talk about Pontypool. This is an incredible Canadian zombie movie that is one of a kind, and it's done in a way that I guess the conceit has been spoiled so often I won't feel too bad for saying it. But if you don't want to hear the spoil here, mute for the next 30 seconds, or if you're listening later, skip forward 30 seconds. But the big spoiler here is that people working at a radio station find out that essentially the virus is being given out auditory through everybody, and eventually the station is overran with zombies at the very end of the movie. It's just a really well told story, and I think it's just based on the rarity and uniqueness of what we get out of this is one of the reasons I love it so much.
I need to check that one out. It's been on my list for so long.
Well, it's been sort of difficult to see. It's not super available on. I don't think it's been on Blu-ray legally in the U.S. I could be wrong there, but the DVD has been like pretty damn hard to find for quite some time.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, Pontypool's fun time. It's the horror movie version of Talk Radio.
Yep.
Or Private Parts. Take your pick.
Yep. Number 10, Charlie.
So, my number 10 is a movie I've only seen once, and it might not be my favorite, but it had such a huge impact on me, and it is one of the only movies that I think I can only sit through once because it just hit close to home to me in ways that I'm not even entirely comfortable sharing. But there's a new French extremity film called In My Skin by Marina Devon that is about a woman played by Marina Devon. She directed, wrote, and starred in the movie, and she has a fiance. She has a successful job in which she just got a promotion. And then she scrapes her leg at a party just by accident. But then she can't stop picking at it. And then not only can she not stop picking at it, but then she starts self-harming in other ways. And what I think is so disturbingly brilliant about this movie is it captures depression and a form of self-destruction and self-harm and mental illness in a way that is not clear, but that's kind of what mental illness and self-harm is. And if you look at reviews of this thing from back in the day, a lot of people criticized it for that, but it taps into a sense of being uncomfortable and mentally unwell in a way that I found incredibly powerful. And weirdly, as someone who has wrestled with my own lived experience with mental illness and whatnot, very validating, but I also found it it's so upsetting to the point that it actually made me physically ill. So I do not recommend this to anyone who, if self-harm is a potential trigger for you as it is for me, might want to sit this one out. I think it's a brilliant film and a deeply, deeply upsetting one, and a very important one that I found that's so difficult to stomach. I couldn't make my way. I barely made my way through it the first time, and I don't know if I'd ever be able to again. But I also think that's the testament of a good horror movie at the same time, even though it's not even like horror in the sense that you're like deeply dreading like anything scary so much as just like
it's effective.
It's effective. It's the horror of the
Grossly
mind.
effective.
Yeah, and it is disgusting, and gruesome, but not. It's not just the effects. It's just the mindset that it puts you in is so on point that I can't deny the impact it had on me. And I've only seen it once, about 8 or 9 years ago. It's hard to say that this is a favorite in certain ways, but when it comes to movies that have impacted me the most out of this genre during this time period, I can't deny the power this movie wields. So yeah,
good pick.
Not a fun pick, but
No.
but one that is, I think, definitely worthy of this list. So
Yeah, no Blu-ray release for that. The US DVD is long out of print. There is a Tartan UK DVD that's fairly cheap. I need to grab that, even though might throwing that on anytime soon. No.
Yeah, like it's one of those movies. Those one and done movies that people mention. That is a one and done for me. But I think it's kind of a masterpiece in and of itself. So
it also doesn't get talked about enough at all.
No.
It's just so hard to find. Also,
yeah. All right, Kev.
Okay, this one would be quick and easy. I don't have anything special to say about it. Number 9, The Strangers. Fantastic.
Great movie.
Yep.
Kevin, did you go see that or Sex in the City the opening weekend?
I was not based enough at the time to be watching Sex and the City. That would come later in life.
Okay.
First movie, not good. Second movie, Crime Against Humanity. Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
My number 9 is a franchise movie. This one was difficult to choose which one of the franchise to talk about, but I think this is the one that I've watched the most and probably had the biggest impact on literally an entire generation. Gotta discuss Final Destination 2.
Oh, hell yeah.
The
Yes.
opening log scene is something that is seared into all of our memories that watched this when we were young. It has some of the more effective kills out of the entire franchise. It's definitely a little shaky plot line wise, but it's certainly one of the most fun out of this whole franchise to watch. Obviously, the first one is classic, and it's one that set up the fairly positive franchise that we got, where most of them are fairly high quality, except for one or maybe two. But yeah, this one I think is the one that has stuck with me the most. I think that it's one that has really been able to highlight some really great practical effects that we have been missing dearly in recent years. Love the way they made this, and yeah, love Final Destination 2. 2003, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
that's
the
my
first
favorite.
one is a better movie, but the highs of the second one are
Yep.
like nothing comes close.
Chekhov's spaghetti. Chekhov's spaghetti that came out of a frying pan. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Remember when that kid got flattened by glass? It kicks
Like
ass.
glass.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm glad you guys are on board with that one. All right.
Yeah.
Number 9, Charlie.
Number 9, it's been mentioned. Signs. Do
Great
you
movie.
consider this a horror movie?
Yeah.
Kevin's yeah, man. I would say this was a big one for me. I think I saw it. Yeah, I saw it on VHS or DVD the year after, but I remember this being my first M. Night Shyamalan movie, and a movie that I remember being like, that's one I actually want to watch. And it being a wake-up call to me that like I was always afraid of like now I love gory body horror movies. I mean, we were praising The Substance like an hour ago, but like this is a movie that I remember teaching me a lesson as a kid, which is, sometimes it's the stuff you don't see that really freaks you out. Just like, and I rewatched it. Honestly, I can't even really say why I rewatched it. Maybe just because I hadn't seen it in a long time. And I've seen this movie dozens of times as a kid, and even in my darkened apartment the other night when my roommate was not home, I got up to go to the bathroom and was just like genuinely like freaked out by like just the way this movie deals with shadows in the basement. And during that one scene, I mean, the birthday party scene is iconic. The way it uses sound, I mean, the scene where you just hear them walking around the house, and then the dog stops barking and you hear the clicking of their whatever noises they're making. I mean, like, and I also just find it maybe watching it post-pandemic, my friend Greg Vellante wrote about how he watched this in lockdown and how he found it very hopeful and optimistic, which of course I've always seen it as, but as an adult it actually hit me harder in certain ways than it did as a preteen. And I think it's just I think a lot of people beat on this movie for the ending and some of the the ways it deals with Mel Gibson's arc in terms of regaining his faith, or why did the aliens come to a planet made of water? I don't give a shit. I just think it's remarkable filmmaking. And I find it scary, and as moving as I did when I saw it 20 years ago. So
I mean, yeah, as one of the best uses of found footage ever. So, and that scene fucked me up as a kid.
Oh yeah, it's still scary.
Yeah. I mean that, and when the alien's hand goes underneath no.
Mm-hmm. That shot of that scene where Mel Gibson's like, no, I'm not doing this, and then shot holds and he is about to walk away out of the house, and then he just pauses for a good 3 seconds, then he comes back with the knife, just sticking it in to see if he can get a reflection, and then it's good stuff. Yeah.
Also, some of M. Night's best comedy in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really, really great comedic moments.
I completely forgot about the moment where Rory Culkin's character is really fascinated by the crop circles at one point, and then Joaquin Phoenix just says, look, it's a bunch of kids who can't get girlfriends, and then they get in touch with other kids who can't get girlfriends, and then they decide to get attention, and they create this whole conspiracy. It's bullshit. And then Mel Gibson just goes, yeah, Rory, why don't you put the book down? And it just cuts back to Abigail Breslin going, why can't they get girlfriends?
Yeah, I love Signs. Great movie.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, what number is this? Number 8. The Host. Probably the least-ish horror movie on my list. Definitely more of a drama, but still, it's a creature feature. I wish there was I'm pretty sure there's like a 4K overseas that maybe is not English friendly, but Magnolia released it, so maybe as a part of the new OCN partnership, maybe we get a nice copy of The Host.
Was this your first Bong Joon-ho? Because it was mine.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
This Netflix DVD ass movie. That's
Same.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, love this movie. Loved it even more after researching how much of it was based on very real-life facts of the Korean and U.S. government colluding on some really stupid shit to fuck people over. Incredible story. Bong Joon-ho is a mastermind.
Yeah.
My number 8 is a pick that probably could have been a lot higher on my list because I think this is a masterpiece, but kind of like Charlie mentioned for his number 10, this is just not a movie that I look on as I want to watch this once a year, like many of the other ones on here. So number 8 is 2008's Martyrs. I'm sure this is not the last time this is going to be talked about tonight, but this movie is perfection. This movie is traumatic and weird and ghastly and shows some of the darkest parts of humanity, but it is also perfect and beautiful and incredible storytelling and astonishingly acted considering what they're trying to portray, and just something that everybody needs to see at least once, if not 3 times, to really get the gravity of it.
This is a movie that I don't have nightmares about this movie, and I want to say it's a runner-up for me. I was so close to putting it on my list. It's one of the rare movies where I've had nightmares about having to watch the movie again. Like, it's not that I'm afraid of anything in the movie coming after me. It's the very fact that it's like my nightmare just imagines that movie as even being worse than it is. I will also say the first time I watched that movie, I was in college and 2 friends brought it over and I had no idea what it was. We might have smoked some weed, and about 45 minutes into the movie, I thought it was over. And then my friend looked at me and said, we haven't gotten started, so buckle up.
That was me in high school being like, I don't have any friends. The one I have, I'll just bring them over and be like, hey, watch this horror movie with me. Yeah. Interesting time.
All right, Charlie, number 8.
My number 8 is, I'm wondering if this is the same movie you were referring to, Kevin. My number 8 is American Psycho.
Oh, should I say if it's on, hypothetically speaking, if it's higher on somebody else's list, should we talk about it now, or?
But let's let Charlie talk about it now.
Okay, I'll make it brief then. I mean, I love this movie. I remember blindly buying this movie for $7.99 at Newbury Comics. I came home from the mall. I left my bag on the table, my kitchen table, and went to the bathroom. I heard my dad exclaim, "Oh God," and came out, and he was like, "Have you seen this?" holding it up. And I went, "No, not yet." And he was like, "I have. This is messed up." And I just think this movie we covered it on Almost Major 2 years ago now, was it? Might be
7 years. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I mean, I think that when it comes to horror and subverting the male gaze, and also especially when it comes to, I have not read Bret Easton Ellis's novel. I've read Less Than Zero and probably some short stories that he's done. But like, I just think that the way this film examines masculinity and yuppie culture and misogyny is in a darkly satirical edge, while also giving you lots of aftermaths of violence that allows you to fill in the blanks, is simultaneously shocking and disturbing and funny. And I think there's a reason this movie has stood the test of time. It's also fascinating to look at the initial reactions of this movie when it played at Sundance and how people were appalled by it. And Roger Ebert, I think, was saying he was one of the few staunch defenders of it during the festival. And now it's, I think it cuts deep into a lot of the ways we look at materialism, a lot of the ways we look into, superficial forms of success. I mean, it's such a rich, sickly funny movie that I think is just it's just one of a kind. I love this movie. So yeah.
As somebody who has read the book, oh boy. Yeah. Maybe I'll talk about it later. My number 7, probably besides August Underground, the movie that has messed me up the most. I watched this, I'd say pretty recently, probably about 3 years ago, and was not prepared for how fucked up this movie is. Number 7, Eden Lake.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's an honorable mention for me.
Yeah. Fuck. That's my review.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Talk about an ending that it's just like, I'll just go walk in the street. That's cool. Man, the movie does not care. If there's ever been a more fuck them kids movie, I haven't seen it.
It's crazy to me. I will just say I saw the new Speak No Evil remake, which was directed by James Watkins, who did Eden Lake, and it is. I remember when I heard that he was going to direct the remake, and I was just like, oh, well, that movie's not going to pull any punches. Not to spoil anything about Speak No Evil, but it differs from the original. Just kind of walked out with a shrug. But Eden Lake, yeah, you're right, Kevin. That like, it's hard to go to, like, I watched that movie late at night and it was hard to go to sleep after. Just like, all right, I just go to bed.
Also, after you watch it, what else are you gonna do? You have to just go to sleep. There's nothing like, okay, what else are we gonna? No, nothing is done. Nothing is going on. This is the end.
Throw on a few episodes of SpongeBob from Amazon Prime or something. I don't know.
That's what I did when I watched the Serbian film for the first time. I was like, it's 5 p.m. I can't just go to sleep, so I guess I'm watching SpongeBob while rocking back and forth. Yeah.
I think that what makes that movie so good, too, is that it puts you in a complete moral conundrum where they are just kids. But
no, fuck that. No moral conundrum. Get them out of here.
It's self-defense, but they are kids. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I love the commentary on Eden Lake. Keep going. My number 7 is the first remake that we are going to talk about tonight, which the 2000s are ripe with remakes, obviously. There's many of them out there. This one may be the most unique that we're going to talk about tonight, probably, because this is 2007's Funny Games, and it's a director that remade his own film. Michael Haneke is somebody that has made some desolate, dark, depressing movies, and Funny Games is no exception. What's crazy, though, is that he made basically the exact same movie twice. This one for English audiences with Tim Roth and Naomi Watts. Incredibly effective. One that still has no Blu-ray release, which is depressing in itself. Absolutely deserves it because it's an incredible movie. This was the very first Haneke film I ever saw. Absolutely loved this thing. Showed it to a bunch of people, and they all looked at me like I was insane for showing them this movie. It is something that, again, doesn't hold back, subverts any of your expectations in a way that will only piss you off if you've never seen it. It takes your experience as a viewer and even throws that on its head. And based on that, I knew that it had to be on my list. It was one of the first movie watching experiences that made me change my perspective of how I approached film. And based on that, had a major impact for me.
Both are great. I put the remake over the original like by that much. The best review I ever heard from this movie was my friend at the time. She said, I hated that movie and that movie hated me.
Yeah,
And,
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's also fascinating. I know there was some pushback to it because some people, when it came out in 2007, were like, well, it's just the same movie. Why did he make the same thing again? But
Right.
after Saw and Hostel and all the torture porn, it really does feel like Michael Haneke being like, were none of you listening to me 10 years ago? Like,
Yeah.
it really, and I
Please
think
spell
it
it
is,
out.
yeah, and I think it absolutely, for that reason alone, and got the attention of a lot of people who never would have sought out the original. I did see the original first, mainly because the remake was coming out and I had Netflix. And yeah, it is funny how, I shouldn't use that word. It's it's like I do remember, I think it was an old AV Club podcast where it was Scott Tobias and Tasha Robinson, and Tasha Robinson was mentioning, I hated this movie because it felt like it was punishing me for wanting sick, disgusting violence. And I don't go to the movies for sick, disgusting violence. So I fast forwarded through it because I didn't feel like being lectured for something I don't even crave. And then Scott Tobias just goes, well, I liked it. Which I think is a reaction. I feel like it is one of the most divisive movies of this genre because I feel like a lot of people feel like they are getting finger wagged and are like, but horror movies teach us a lot about, horror movies are actually moral. Horror movies are, life affirming and all this stuff. And I'm like, I think it can be two things at once. I really think that movie can be, but this is what you wanted. And
absolutely,
there is some truth to that movie, and I think some people don't like having the funhouse mirror pointed back at them, which is exactly what this movie does. So
100%. All right, your number 7, Charlie.
My number 7, another movie that has been mentioned already tonight, and I swear I did not know that so many of these movies would be mentioned in the lineup, but it is Bug. Which I feel like a lot of people can also say that's not horror either, but psychological horror, I think this movie, it's a movie I honestly didn't love the first time I saw it, and I remember the ending feeling a little bit like a letdown, and then it's one that I've returned to weirdly. Don't ask me why, I'm a sick person. But it's a film about, when it comes to analyzing horror, just the ways in which someone's loneliness can make them so, the ways in which loneliness can consume you to the point that you are willing to believe and buy into this probably conspiratorial theory that Michael Shannon's character has, I feel like has only gotten more relevant over time in very upsetting ways. And I think that another movie that, it's an emotionally horrifying film, more so than I'm afraid of potential jump scares or what's come, if there are actually bugs. It was more about just watching these people deteriorate because they felt all too real to me. And even though it is based on a stage play by Tracy Letts, and it was advertised, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, as something that was completely literal, I think that this movie is so primal and so emotionally charged in ways that are both darkly funny and deeply disturbing all at once. And by the time you get to the end, even though I remember the first time I felt like the ending was a letdown, it really is like, well, there's no other way this thing could have ended that way. And then the impact that you're left with by the end of it, I don't know. I'm realizing some of these movies, like In My Skin, you could also be related to this or deal with more psychological breakdowns, which I don't know what that says about me, but I find it, it's a very underappreciated installment in Friedkin's filmography, in my opinion, at least. So yeah.
Bug kicks ass. Speaking of kicking ass, but also a movie with an ending that I've only seen this once, but like with another film from this director, like the last shot of it, it made me just be like, wait, hold on, I need to rewatch this movie immediately. Is Pulse.
Nice.
Yeah, both this and Cure, like the last shot, I'm just like, hold on, hold the fuck on. Yeah, I need to rewatch this immediately. I haven't rewatched them, but it's totally entirely my shit. Early 2000s, fear of the internet, just depressing and scary as hell. What more do you want?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I like Pulse a lot more than Cure.
I've only seen both of them once, and for me, they're like, I feel like kind of the same. But I mean, Kiyoshi Kurosawa is a guy that I can't wait to dive into because almost everything I've seen I've liked, and everything that I haven't seen I'm interested in. So
yeah,
looking forward to Cloud, which just premiered at TIFF earlier this year, and oh Jesus Christ,
Chime
is
awesome,
incredible.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll have something more to say later. About that one.
Hey, wait a minute.
My number 6 then is probably the most interesting to me on my list because this is the only one that is a discovery from this year. The very first time I watched it was just a couple months ago, and that is 2008's The Chaser. Another.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Ooh.
Love that reaction. So this is interesting because it is basically a crime thriller in a serial killer horror movie wrapped with some interesting action. And so it's part horror for sure. But I mean, this movie, again, holds nothing back, is so well made. It starts fucking immediately the moment the movie starts. And it's just an engrossing story that I mean, there was like 5 times I thought the movie was about to be over, and they just keep throwing it at you, and I didn't want it to end. It was so damn well made. One of the most compelling plot lines that I've seen in the last couple of years. Absolutely loved it. So much so that I've already watched it twice this year, which I don't get to do that for movies very much at all. I adored this movie.
Didn't that just come out? A Blu-ray of that could just come out. Who put that
Umbrella, yeah.
Okay. Oh, you got it the last time we were here. That's what I remember. Yeah. I haven't seen that. I've seen The Wailing, which kicks ass. I just got the 4K of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just pushed The Chaser up to my top of my watch list. I need to watch that.
Knowing your taste, you're gonna love it. It's incredible.
There's some brutal stuff in that movie.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. What do we got next?
This is probably my most basic pick, but look, I gotta go with my gut, and it's a remake. It's The Ring. I know they're gonna upgrade this one to 4K, but this most recent release is pretty awesome in terms of the steelbook that it has. I would never say this is the scariest movie ever made, but I think this is the most scared I have ever been watching a movie, because I remember this movie came out in 2002. So I didn't see it until it came out on VHS. So I was 12, and I remember it just being a big dare in middle school. Like, everybody was watching it. And it was the first time I knew it was going to fuck me up, and a part of me dreaded it, but I really wanted to be part of the zeitgeist, even as a preteen. And I remember my neighbor who lived across the street was able to rent it, and our parents were friends. And I remember it was just like, well, my parents won't say no if you're able to get it. So we watched it then, where my parents knew. They kind of looked at me when they were like, we rented this for the kids. And, My parents were like, "Oh dear God," and but nostalgia aside, I lived across the street, and then after it was over, I remember I asked to spend the night, even though I could have walked a mere few feet back to my home. Even though my parents went home, I could not be alone after this but I was 12. Anyway, nostalgia aside, I think I love this movie. I love it even more. I did see it before the Japanese original. I'm not even going to say the Japanese original isn't better, but I do. I have a real fondness for this. I love that what I think this movie has that a lot of the other J horror remakes don't is that it had its own American aesthetic. Like, it's this the blues and greens and turquoise, of Seattle and the rainy American Gothic stylizations. And I love that Naomi Watts is a kind of a terrible mother, but loves her son, and she's a workaholic. And you're stuck with someone who is a deeply frustrating character who also is put through the ringer, and it feels like an actual person, which a lot of the other, the Grudge, for example, is basically just I think it was Roger Ebert who was like, it's just a bunch of people sticking their arms, legs, heads, and other body parts in places they heard a scary noise. And this one, even though it is a remake, I feel like is very prescient and predicted the future of the internet, where look at where we are now.
Virality, yeah.
Virality has taken over. And the fact that it was on a VHS tape, I don't remember who pointed this out, but it's like Analog's last revenge, like it's kind of the last bloody scream into the void.
Right.
And I find it oddly, as much as this movie fucked me up, I find it oddly comforting. Also, probably something that people will be like, you're insane. I think the Hans Zimmer score in this movie is so gorgeous, and it might be my favorite thing he's ever done.
I agreed with the gorgeous part. Best thing ever is that's.
I'm not okay, mate. I'm not saying it's his best. I just said favorites. But I think Naomi Watts is just incredible. Just absolutely amazing in this movie.
You're fired. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not.
Yeah, or she's eating yogurt, and then I'm cooking too good a story, and the boss goes, "What is it?" And then she picks up the phone and just like shoos him away.
I know you didn't want to go out on that limb, but I will say I think this is better than the original for sure.
Yeah,
I've only seen the original once. I saw it when it was Ringu, when they released that Universal released that DVD back in the day. I haven't seen it since then, but I did get since it was a Tartan Asian Extreme, I did get that Ring trilogy that I'll be going through. But yeah, piggybacking off my Yu-Gi-Oh! Ring story, I will say this made my honorable mentions. It probably could have made my top 10, but yeah, watching that VHS that I slaved away waiting to get at Hastings, and being like maybe a foot away from my TV late night. It's Sunday night when that closet jump scare happens. I will never forget that. I will never forget that.
I will never either, because I think every other jump scare you can at least see it coming a little bit in this movie, but that just takes place during a sad scene at a funeral where characters are having a quiet moment. There's no score. There's no way you could ever predict that fucking jump cut and that image.
Now, and as an adult, the jump scare that happens before that, I was like, oh shit, I forgot Adam Brody's in this.
I love when he shows up and he says, "Oh, the videotape, the one that kills you when you watch it," and somebody's just like, "Adam, don't even."
It's true, they're just like, "Oh, go back to the OC."
I love how Naomi Watts is also so annoying to so many people in this movie, where they're just like, "Can you just like, we were kind of having a moment here. Can you like not like?" She's like that with everybody in this movie.
She is so good though.
Mm-hmm.
She's so good. Yeah,
it's secretly the prequel to the Book of Henry. Anyways, my number 5. I think I watched this for the first time right around the same time I watched Eden Lake a few years ago. It was a found footage mockumentary that I wanted to see for a long time. More than just being scary, it's deeply sad. and it is Lake Mungo. I remember or what spurred this is I was watching something. It was like best whoopty fucking dudes of best found footage, and it spoiled the jump scare in this, but it intrigued me so much that I watched it, and the jump scare still fucking worked. It's one of the best jump scares. Not the best jump scare, which is coming soon, but yeah, this is just really, really great found footage / mockumentary type movie that, yeah, by the end of it, you're just like, I'm not even scared anymore. I'm just sad. I didn't sign up for that. Yeah. So Lake Mungo, you haven't seen it, it's pretty great.
One of the first movies that I remember, because Kevin and I met on a game night over Zoom during lockdown, and I remember that being the first movie that you like recommended that I remember watching like later on, and I felt the exact same way where I was just like, okay, went in for the scares, now I'm left deeply filled with sorrow. Like, yeah.
Yeah, this is a good watch, and I think that one is Aussie as well, actually, if I remember right.
I believe so, yeah.
Somewhere down there, at least. All right, my number 5 is probably the smallest movie I've got left. Probably only bigger than Pontypool on my list so far, actually. And that is another movie from 2008 that I saw late night, and I think this was a Netflix DVD pickup. And this movie really got to me because I've always loved body horror. I especially love body horror that you cannot physically control anything that you are being affected by. And that's why I love Splinter. And
I've not seen this.
Me neither.
This movie is insanity. This movie starts off with a couple arguing in a car, and they literally within the first 30 seconds of the movie, they drive by a sign that says something like nuclear testing facility, just to give you the little setup. And they're driving along, and then they see somebody that is hitchhiking, and lo and behold, they pick up this guy, and he's not a good person. And he takes them hostage, essentially, makes them go to this gas station. But as you are all seeing, and this is in the first 3 minutes of the movie, you pull up to this gas station, and there is this creature, I guess is the right word to use here, and it is essentially a black spiky goo that you can't really understand what it is. You see that it's able to move, and you see it attacking some other people, and the way that it attacks these people, it makes their bodies do things completely out of their control, where their bones and their body and everything splinters in different directions. That's where the title comes from. And so they are stuck in this gas station with the 3 of them, and they have nowhere to go because this thing is outside trying to get to them. And it eventually turns into a survival horror baked into a creature feature movie, and it is terrifying and silly and like aggravating with some of the things that happens. And there's just something about it that it is this weird comfort food movie for me that I've seen so many fucking times now, because all of it is just, you can't, no matter how many times you've seen it, you can't believe that it's actually happening to them the way that it is. And highly recommend it. I feel like hardly anybody has seen this movie. It is incredible. Had a decent Blu-ray from, I think, Magnet or somebody like that.
Okay.
Yeah, one that I think most people should pick up. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it sounds hot. I need to watch it.
Just added it to my watch list on Letterboxd.
Nice. Sibner says it sounds like the raft from Creepshow 2. Honestly, a little bit of the same imagery. All right, number 5, Charlie.
My number 5 is the best R-rated movie I ever snuck into. It is The Descent.
That's my next one, so let's knock it out.
Hell
So
yeah.
that's my number 4 as well.
Oh my god.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, I just want to say one of the best reasons that it was the best movie I ever snuck into is I just love the fact that this movie, a bunch of female cave, spelunkers, who this movie makes you feel so afraid of the environment before anything bad happens. On top of that, gives you very emotionally charged opening. So you understand these characters' mindsets, you understand their relationships with one another, and then you're just feeling suffocated by the environment. And seeing this movie in a theater in which so many shots are just illuminated by the headlamps that they are wearing, seeing this in a theater, I had no idea where the screen began or ended. All I saw were just dark, like beams of light. I will also say one of the my friends who, I'm sure he's still pissed at me about this, but I got two friends to sneak into this movie with me. One of whom knew what it was. The other was just like, whatever, I'm up for anything. Just had no idea what we were getting into. So I want to say 50 minutes into this movie, you get the first silhouette of one of the creatures just opening its jaw and blood dripping from its mouth. And my friend just looked at me and said, "What the fuck was that?" And I went, "This is a horror movie." And he was like, "You didn't tell me we were," he was like whispering, "You didn't tell me you were sneaking into a horror movie." I'm like, "What do you think this was?" I don't know, spelunkers. They're like, and then like as soon as like the gore starts, I think it's also it's such an effective use of violence, because the violence is relentless and gory and disgusting, but also a bunch of badass women fighting back. You've got the stakes up until then, the emotional stakes, the physical stakes, and then you're just left with absolute carnage to the point that it's all elevated and then just is relentless. And that friend called me at 2 a.m. and was like, "I can't sleep. I hate you." I'm so
Great recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this movie. I mean, I still watch this movie with friends who haven't seen it, and that shot, that jump scare with
the night vision,
the night vision still makes people yelp or jump. Like, and I think that just stands.
What's even better is like the sound ting for that is like 3 seconds late, so it hits you like after you've already seen it and you've already jumped. So it's like it choreographs it perfectly. I don't have anything else to add. This movie kicks ass. Thankfully, there was never a sequel made.
Isn't one of the characters who
they gotta go back?
No, but like, yeah, one of the characters that part of the whole emotional like gut punch of the ending is like, oh shit, this one character probably is dead, and then the second one they're like, no, that person's alive.
No, the sequel. Like, the sequel is a sequel to the American ending of it, which ends where she leaves and it's just jump scared by Juno or whatever. Yeah. So that I don't understand.
Yeah, I love this movie too. Obviously, here at number 4, I think that it's Neil Marshall's best film by leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
Dog Soldiers is also great, but was nowhere near my list or my honorable mentions. But yeah, this is amazing. The human drama that is in this is also fantastic, and I think that's one of the things that makes it such a great movie. Is that not only is it an incredible monster movie, it does have the very cliched the humans are the monsters all along story that we get a lot. And yeah, the relationship drama that's in this is very akin to, I don't want to spoil anything, and so I'll say a very recent horror movie from a couple years ago that I just watched with KB actually, and surprised to see that they went with such a similar storyline considering. So now we're all the way back, I believe, to Charlie.
Get to talking, boy.
Oh, that's fun. So my number 4 is another movie we've covered on the pod, The Devil's Rejects, which
of course.
Yeah, I love this demented, twisted, disgusting, arguably amoral little movie. This was another movie that just blew me away when I was like 14, 15, blindly bought it at Blockbuster, much to my parents' disapproval, but they were like, whatever, we can't stop you at this point. It's kind of like our torture porn version of Bonnie and Clyde in a certain way. Like, I mean, out of all of the torture porn movies to come out and the ones in which you are pummeled with sickening, gratuitous violence, I think this movie whether or not it was even intentional has a lot to say about um you know, what it feels like to be in the driver's seat with killers as opposed to the victims, and how the tables get turned at the end, and how your complicity as a viewer and a voyeur also comes into play. I also think that just on a technical level, Rob Zombie pays so much homage to grindhouse classics from times gone past. The classic rock soundtrack is amazing. The performances, as histrionic and over the top as they are brilliant in how over the top they are. I we've talked about it at length already, Kevin and I few movies make me feel as sick for loving them and being as entertained by them as this one, but I can't deny that this movie kind of makes me love movies in its own demented, fucked up way. So
That's one of the best episodes we've ever done, because it was a
Scout
movie.
Scout
movie,
Tafoya.
yeah, that was a movie that did not want to watch, did not want to do it for the pod. Did it because Charlie asked so nicely. Well, rewatched it, didn't like it. A few days later, liked it. Was liking it a little bit more. A few days later, a little bit more, bumped up my rating, and then our episode Scout Tafoya just talked about it so amazingly that I was just like, nah, I think I kind of like this actually.
Mhm.
So 1000% check that out.
You stole my thunder a little bit. I did want to throw in before you said that this is my favorite episode of Almost Major ever.
Hell
Oh,
It
Thanks.
is the episode that is why I think a lot of us do love podcasting like this, because you could tell someone genuinely, like almost viscerally hated the film, and then just through discussion went, well, fuck, I kind of love the movie now. And just hearing Scout Tafoya guide multiple people into that it's a treat. And it's people like
Mhm.
Scout that inspire a lot of us to do this.
Yeah, he's the best.
He is. He's great.
Just recently rewatched House of 1000 just because, which is my favorite Rob Zombie movie, and I was like, I need to throw on Devil's Rejects again, but then I didn't. But yeah, my next one we've already talked about, and I don't really have anything much crazier to say, is American Psycho. Great stuff.
Well, that's a nice segue into the one that I'm going to talk about next, because my number 3 is House of 1,000 Corpses.
Hell yeah.
Shit.
I I love Devil's Rejects. I love this one. I love Halloween 2. I I like most of Rob Zombie stuff. He has made one or two that are just not good movies. But House of 1,000 from this decade is the one that I love just unabashedly. And I think the reason is primarily because this is from the point of view from the victims, but also a deep dive into Sid Haig, who I adore in
Having
this
so
franchise.
much fun in it. Oh my god.
The fact that we get Rainn Wilson and Chris Hardwick as our two male leads at the very beginning is such an interesting lead-in, and such a weird slice of the mid 2000s there, and yet they're both perfect, and the story is compelling and beautiful and gross. And I mean, Charlie already said the word grindhouse, but this is definitively grindhouse in
Mhm.
every single scene. Everything you can taste the air watching this movie. You
Mhm.
can see when the sheriffs pull up at the very end of this movie, just the amount of dust that gets thrown up. You just go, fuck, I have stood on a dirt road and felt that gross feeling that they're all feeling right outside right now. And most other movies cannot portray that like that. And Zombie just nailed it with both of these movies. They're obviously going for two very different things. I just prefer this one slightly.
Mhm.
But it's an incredible feat. Masterclass.
Yeah, I love it because there's so much movie in this movie.
Yeah.
He's still shaking off the music video director stuff, so he's just like, I'm gonna get split diopter, I'm gonna get split screen, sped up, slow down, I don't give a shit. And that's what I love about it.
Mhm.
Rewatching it, I'm sure I mentioned this in the pod, but the what is it, the what's the song that plays "I Remember You"? The slow down scene. Um, so impactful. And then whenever old Matt Damon is about to die, and it flashes to his character at Christmas with his family for like 2 seconds, it is so fucking heartbreaking. It's so good. Yes, that's his name, old Matt Damon. Come on now.
All right, number 3 to you, Charlie.
It's been mentioned already, and also Kevin not only mentioned it, but also showed it. I have the same copy. It's Pulse.
Yeah.
There's something about this movie that really, I watched it for the first time. I did see the really shitty remake like opening night.
I forgot I did, yes.
Yeah, it's awful. And I remember that movie being so bad that it put me off seeing the original for a little bit. And then I saw it in like 2016. And I think, kind of talking about similar themes, I guess this is another through line to The Ring, and this one, was even a year before that and deals with the internet. I think this movie is very prescient about how the internet can bring us together. Like right now, we're all having a wonderful time together and creating, a nice little community.
But we're all dead.
Yeah.
You won't find out till after.
Yeah.
But there is something about this movie in not just the ways it talks about how the internet can make us, even though it's meant to be a tool that brings us all together, can make us feel just as isolated and having us scream into the void. And just on a technical level, the way that Kiyoshi Kurosawa frames bodies and just has certain moments of people just in frames, there's moments where it'll just be a ghost just standing there, and then they'll just do a little like woo, and you're like, this is technically so simple, and yet it's the most upsetting, disturbing thing. And the ways in which this movie doesn't make sense, and yet it all makes sense in a visceral way when you're watching it, like in a ghostly logic, and how it manages to tie feelings of supernatural otherworldliness to the internet, which especially during 2001 is a tool that we are still learning we don't fully have control over, or naive when it comes to the impact it will have on us and the ways in which it can be weaponized. The ways in which he's able to meld those two the themes with just simple spooky imagery, I think it just makes it incredible. And I also think, I guess to tie it back to In My Skin, just the way it ties the supernatural. Well, In My Skin isn't supernatural, but the ways in which it's able to discuss depression in a way feels very real, even in such a heightened, over the top supernatural perspective. This movie, there are scenes that technically don't make sense, but it doesn't matter. They make sense when you watch them emotionally. And I think that's kind of what horror's all about. So, yeah.
Good pick.
Oh, man. Top 2. Both of these are like top 5 horror movies all time for me. So, let's see. I think we already did kind of mention this movie, but I saw this when it came out. Was there any? No. Okay. So, fuck it. I'll just show it. This would be a lot of wind up. Number 2 is Cloverfield.
Great movie.
I was definitely there whenever I wasn't there in the theater, but when the teaser dropped with Transformers, and everybody online was like, what the fuck is this? From July of 2007 up until release date, was just fascinated by the release of this movie and everything around it. And I'll never forget seeing the first full shot you see of the monster in close up. It's still fucking terrifying. This movie uses found footage and POV so brilliantly. You feel so small while watching this movie, and it makes the monster so terrifying. Like, big monster movies don't scare me, but this one does, because you can feel just how large and how destructive this thing is, and it's not going for laughs, and the monster's not going for laughs also, and it ends on a downer. What more do you want? Yeah, it's fucking terrifying. I love it so much.
You're always through their perspective too, so you're always at their ground level, unless they're in the skyscraper at the beginning.
Right.
Like, I think that's another thing is, the camera always has to pan up in order to see, like, oh, what the fuck? Like, yeah.
It was great to show scale in this for sure.
Yeah.
My number 2 is one that has not been mentioned at all tonight, which I'm kind of surprised by. And this is my 5th and final pick from the year of 2008. Dear God. This is Let the Right One In.
Hell yeah.
A runner-up for me, for sure. Love this one.
This is a beautifully tragic masterpiece that is, so interesting in a time where we are overwrought with zombie movies constantly. And I've talked about this on the show so many times before, but it seems like we can't have a high point in vampire films and a high point in zombie movies at the same time. There's always cycles between the two. And I'm hoping that we're finally breaking through into vampire movies again with stuff like Abigail, and some upcoming ones are supposed to be amazing. And zombies are kind of taking a back seat finally. We're out of the Walking Dead era. Let the Right One In is probably the highest point in vampire movies in this recent zombie wave that we got. And this movie is so just innocently romantic for two kids, kind of kids, discovering who they are and trying to discover who they will be. And some of the scenes, like the swimming pool scene, obviously is a classic for a reason. And the hospital scene and under the bridge scene, like there's so many things about this movie that make you just look back on it and think more and more about what you just got done watching. And yes, there's an awful remake that I don't want to spend much time in, but this movie specifically is something that everybody should see, and with a very open mind, because I know a lot of people don't love foreign movies, but this is, if you're going to watch one that's new from not the US, this is probably a really great place to start.
I like the remake more.
What? I thought that
was like I thought a lot of people like pretty much dig the remake.
No, I like the remake. I just think the original is fucking.
I like the original, but the remake, I don't know. That I just recently, a few years ago, double billed them, and I mean, yeah, obviously my Matt Reeves Cloverfield bias is showing, but
it's a hell of a lot better than the Carrie remake. I'll say that.
Oh, good Lord,
Jesus Christ!
And Kimberly Pierce also can be a good filmmaker. So yeah,
once upon a time, yeah.
Yeah, Matt Reeves directed the remake well. I didn't mean to say it was awful. It's just it can't hold a candle to the original, I don't think.
I may have seen, I don't know which one I saw first. I saw Let Me In when it came out. I saw Let the Right One In sometime around there. I don't know if it was before or after. But the thing that I love about both of the movies is just how it showcases wintertime that I really love. Yes. The loneliness of wintertime, like the scenes where it's them on the playground just by themselves and you feel like there's nobody else, but you also feel like everybody is there, but they're all asleep. Yep. I really love that. Yeah.
I was in the same acting class as one of the kids who played the main bully in the remake. His name is Brett Delwano. And it's just, I remember watching the remake being like, no, because he occasionally popped up in movies in the 2000s. I think he still does, but he was in that. It's unfortunately a terrible movie, but the Balls of Fury, he played the young protagonist in that movie. And then so it was like, I remember seeing that movie in theaters and just being like, is that Brett Delwano? And then
is he playing watching young Balls of Fury?
Let Me In. I was just like, oh my God, there he is again.
Young Balls of Fury is a hell of a title.
Young Balls.
There he is. Little Balls of Fury. That's him. Oh, some people call him little Mr. Woodcock. That's right.
Dear Lord. I do agree with you, Ryan. Anyone who's ever felt like an outsider, and then, there's also
You're a liar, Sibner.
There is something that is the way it balances the innocence of young love with the cruelty that children are capable of in the adult world surrounding them is and the swimming pool scene is just, my God.
Number
that's
two,
one
come on.
in the remake. That one was the swimming pool scene was decent there too. Anyways,
Oh yeah.
go ahead, Charlie.
We've mentioned the filmmaker, and I mentioned the release. It's a movie I'm sure people will be like, ew, when I bring it up, but my number 2 is Trouble Every Day.
I thought it'd be your number 1. Okay.
Well, my number 1 might be controversial, and I might piss people off because I'm sure some people will be like, that's not horror. But anyway, I'm going to defend myself in a moment. But Trouble Every Day, a movie that had such a visceral impact on me the first time I watched it, where I was like, it was my first Claire Denis. And at a certain point, I was like, what even is this? Because it just upset me so much, where I wasn't ready for the ways in which it tackles the interlocking, qualities between sex and violence, the way that Claire Denis is obsessed with the human body and framing it and eroticizing it, and then also analyzing how primal and animalistic we are as a species, and how I think there's a number of ways you could read this movie. You could read it as, a breakup, then the ways that it impacts us. You could read it even like, some of her more explicit movies that have to do with colonialism. You could read it in that way, and that how people got sick in this movie and the origins of that. You could read into how, it's infected France. It's a simultaneously very cerebral and dense movie, and also a very confounding one, and I don't think people were ready for it during the time of its release. I also find it just to be a very brutal, heartbreaking movie about just how love makes us kind of crazy, and sex is kind of a scary animalistic thing that intertwines with how we are essentially just animals in a weird way. It's a hard movie to describe in just such a short amount of time, but this movie shakes me up. So I guess, for my 2 new French Extremity films, both women directed films, very much about bodies as prisons, and also bodies escaping and our attempts to escape from that, and anger at feeling trapped. And also I mean, there's so many ways you could read this movie. It's also a movie that no matter how many times I've seen it, there's one scene at the end with Vincent Gallo and a maid that is one of the most difficult things I've ever sat through, and it never gets any easier. But I find this movie, there's a deep sadness in how the movie analyzes how human beings relate to one another or don't, and all the messiness and gore and viscera that comes along with that sometimes. So I
feel like Claire Denis as a whole is like criminally overlooked. There's so many people that will respond and say that this has been on my watch list forever and just never get to it. Take an opportunity. Watch one of them in the next couple of weeks. Claire Denis is incredible.
A lot of her stuff just in the most recent years is finally being put on disc and easier to watch. Like pretty much all of her 80s stuff is just like you have to pirate it. Which sucks because my favorite one of hers, and kind of the only one that I like so far, is US Go Home, and you can't watch that anywhere.
I know. It's such a bummer. It's such a great movie.
My number 1 is the greatest found footage movie not called The Blair Witch Project. It is Wreck.
Oh, I shouldn't be too surprised.
I fucking love this movie. How long is this movie? Like 4 minutes long, it feels like. 78 minutes. And it does not waste a fucking moment. It is all killer, no filler. It fucking rips. My favorite zombie movie, without a fucking doubt. I need to rewatch the sequel. I haven't seen the sequel. Well, there's plenty of sequels, but the first sequel, I remember liking it back in the day, and my friend was just like, "So you're telling me they can see hidden rooms with night vision?" I was like, "That sounds kind of goofy." Yeah, maybe I need to rewatch that. Um, but yeah, there's nothing deep about it. It just kicks ass. And it has maybe the most effective jump scare I've ever seen, and it's one that is so choreographed. It takes like 30 seconds. You know what's going to happen, but the problem is you don't know when it's going to happen.
Yep.
And it's that goddamn attic kid, and it
Mm.
works every single time. I've not seen the remake. Please stop asking.
I did see the remake first, and I really wish I didn't. One of my friends worked at a Regal, and we just saw everything for free. Like, it didn't matter how good or bad it was. I need to see this movie again because I haven't seen it in like 10 years, but I do remember liking it a lot. And yeah, Kevin's been singing the praises of this one for as long as we've been friends. And I'm realizing my memory of it is not nearly as vivid as I thought it was. So, yeah.
This was literally number 11 on my list. It is my number
Hell
one
yeah.
honorable. This movie is amazing. I feel like Kevin and I have a lot of the same taste here. This movie, the fact that it's essentially all one very interesting location, just spread out over a couple floors, is a masterclass in low budget filmmaking. The acting on this is astonishing, especially from
Yes.
our lead protagonist. But the sequels, there are 3 sequels. 1.5 of them are not bad. I think it's very odd that one of them is like half found footage, half not.
Yeah, I've seen that one. It's
Oh.
good.
Yeah, they're all worth watching, and even the remake. I don't mind Quarantine. I think it's decent. It's just when you're
I'll
literally
watch
trying to
it.
remake a literally perfect film, it's never going to hold up to what Wreck was.
But that director, I don't know if it was both of them. That director did Poughkeepsie Tapes, which is all my honorable mentions. If that's not, I almost took out American Psycho, pushed my stuff up, and put Poughkeepsie Tapes at number 10. But I was like, I think 9 found footage movies out of 10 is plenty. So can't believe Silent Hill didn't make. I like Silent Hill. The problem is there's a certain cutoff with that movie that as soon as they enter the church, the movie's dumb as shit. But everything before that is like the best video game adaptation ever.
It's so funny because I feel like I like that movie a lot. I feel like it's not really about anything, which is not a criticism by any means, because I think that just in terms of atmosphere and visual effects and the way it captures this nightmare town is just so stunning. I think it's interesting that, yeah, once it becomes about something, that's where the plot gets a little muddled. But and I don't even care. Over time, I've just learned to like embrace it. But I do think also the climax of that movie is just unfucking real. Like, it just becomes a Clive Barker movie. Like,
also, you got Sean Bean in there. You don't kill him, get him at it. Get this out of here.
Crime at this point.
Another movie I snuck into. I will also say that was a movie where it was on 2 screens, and when a parent bought our ticket, we went to the one end of the theater where it was showing, and they went, "Can we see your IDs?" Just looking at 14-year-old us. We were like, "Oh, we left our wallet. We'll be right back." And then we went up to the box office and we're like, "Can we switch to the 7:30 show instead of the 7 p.m. show?" And they took a big fat black marker, crossed out 7 p.m., wrote 7:30 over Silent Hill to the point that it was illegible. And we went to the other side of the theater and they were like, "What?" And we were just like, "Oh, we were running late and they said we could switch." "Oh, yeah, go on ahead." And we were like, "How the fuck did that work?"
Love asking like clearly probably 2 kids that very clearly looked 14. Be like, "You got your IDs on you?" Be like, "Yeah, I left it in my trunk of my car that I drive."
And none of them got the walkie-talkie and was like, "Hey, stop those kids!" Like, they were just like, "No, that." It's like the movie theater usher in The Simpsons. Like, that'll show them. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
Oh,
Number 1, probably no surprise to many people that know me. This is one that my wife and I adore together. We saw literally almost every single one in the theater on opening night together. 2004 Saw.
Oh yeah.
I think this is literally like one of the best thrillers from the decade, hands down. The fact that the very end of this is still like one of the best reveals of the last 25 years is amazing. If you went to see this in the first 2 weeks of it being out, nobody knew that that was going to happen. It took everybody by surprise. And this first one, I think if you go back and watch Saw in 2024, knowing what the franchise turned into, you watch the first one and go, what is this tame movie? Like, there's hardly anything in this.
It's not a torture porn movie. The second one is when it becomes.
Yep.
Yeah.
This movie is amazing. It's a detective story. It's filled with puzzles. For somebody that is, autistically doing Sudoku every chance that he possibly can, I love this movie. And then I love all the torture porn ones for different reasons. I've loved almost all of them. There's 1.5 bad ones from the franchise. But I mean, this first movie is tight. It flows perfectly. It's got really great acting. It's casted in such a unique way. Like, you never expected Cary Elwes to be attached to a fucking bathtub or toilet or whatever he's attached to in this one. And when that pops up in 2004 and you're like, what is this? And he puts on that performance, you're kind of taken aback by it. And then the rest come, and it ruins the way a lot of people feel about these because so many people can't deal with the gore. It's not this movie. If you are one of those people, go back and watch Saw one more time. Saw is not a torture porn movie. The Saw sequels are.
It's as bloody as a Law and Order episode.
Yep.
So, yeah, I definitely watched this on a cam rip on LimeWire when it came out and didn't have the ending spoiled. And I remember I had a bedtime at the time because I was like fucking 12, even that. And I remember like it started to happen like the last like 10 minutes, and I remember my dad was like, you need to go to bed. I was like, you don't understand, Dad. I need to stay up. Yeah, I can never replicate. Nothing can replicate that feeling. Saw 2 is also a fun time. Saw 2 is the most new metal of the whole series.
Saw 2 is amazing.
Doesn't Saw 2 have a Mudvayne song in its end credits?
I don't remember, but it probably has like 9 Mudvayne songs.
Yeah. I also remember. I slept over a friend's house whose older brother had a copy of it, and I don't even remember if he was allowed to watch it. But it was one of those: we'll go bowling, and then we'll come back, and then the parents will go to bed, and then we'll stay up and watch Saw. And it was like 2 a.m, and then we were like, "Fuck, we can't go to sleep after this." Jesus. Like,
amazing.
Yeah.
Charles,
what do we got?
I feel like people are going to be mad at me about this because the people are going to be like, "That's not horror," but I want
Monster House,
Transformers 2.
And it's funny because I have the 4K of this, and it's a very big movie, and of course that's the one I forgot to bring down. My number one is Mulholland Drive.
Oh
no, that's definitely a horror movie.
Kevin is like,
go on, sir.
Okay. I think, I mean, it was my first David Lynch movie. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. It's arguably my favorite movie still. The reason I consider this I think so many David Lynch films, I mean, I'd say, sure, you could count Inland Empire as more horror. That came out the same decade. I'm not going to argue with that. Even Lost Highway, maybe more horror. But I feel like this movie is about, it's about it. The first half is what it feels like to go pursue your dreams and fall in love with what you want to do in life, and also discover yourself in terms of your sexuality and find someone you deeply connect to. And then the second half is just, even though that is arguably the reality of the movie, and I do believe that it's just a nightmare. And it has so many sequences that are some of the scariest things I've ever seen. The Winky scene, I literally saw that movie at a rep screening. I've been so many times to see this movie in a theater. There was one time I went with a friend, and we've watched like messed up horror stuff. And I went with he was one of two friends I went with. The other friend had not seen this movie, and he asked, "Can we get an aisle seat?" And I was like, "Why do you need an aisle seat?" And he's like, "I can't watch the Winky scene." I'm like, "We've watched like the most fucked up shit together. What are you talking about?" He's like, I'm telling you, it's the one thing I can't do. And no matter how many times I've seen the Winky scene, I know the jump is coming. The jump doesn't get me anymore, but that whole build up, the ways in which it analyzes heartbreak and the ways that that can consume you, and how it reminds me of, just, I think that the reason it sticks with me as a horror is some of the stuff, the Winky scene, Club Silencio, and that fear of the unknown, the fear of losing someone you love, the way that you will react when someone you love you, doesn't reciprocate that, the loss of self, the complete dream logic of it. I know that it's trending a line here and it's advertised more as a film noir throwback thriller type of thing, but like I still think that it has some of the most chilling moments in any movie I've ever seen, period, even if it isn't a full-on genre pick. And it's one of my favorite movies, so I just had to go with my heart and say, I know this is kind of a half pick here. Some people wouldn't consider it, but it's like my favorite movie. So just gotta be honest. Just gotta say, I think it counts. So, and plus, we were talking about Naomi Watts, and I mean, I think, how did she not win every award under the sun for one of the best performances ever, in which her character goes through every emotion possible and every tonal shift possible and somehow makes it work.
Well, and shout out to her anyways, because I think she's the only one that was in 3 of the films we talked about tonight.
Funny Games, The Ring.
And The Ring, yeah.
Here's the thing that I just, the fake conversation I had in my head, because I'm mentally well, is where I'm just like, oh, Mulholland Drive's not a horror movie. And then somebody goes, then what is it? And then I go, I don't know. So yeah, it's a horror movie.
Yeah. I think it's a hybrid. I mean, like most Lynch films, it's a hybrid. I mean, I wouldn't say, if anyone called, I know Blue Velvet does take place in reality more, but if someone said that's a horror movie, I'd be like, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, you're going to tell me that, like, now you're like, okay, well, now we have to deal with Blue Velvet. No, I don't know.
I mean, this literally is on the top of many, 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 like, top 100 horror moments lists. This is literally always up there. Wow, Tyler says my number 1 and number 2 were not mentioned. What were they? Let us know.
Yeah, Tyler.
You haven't seen Little Black Book. Be quiet.
Yeah, I feel like this fits fairly squarely in the horror line. I mean, obviously you can call it a thriller, I guess, but I mean, where do we draw that line? This is a ridiculous conversation.
Yeah. The scene where they're investigating where Diane Sawyer lives, and then that discovery, is that not horror? Is the Winky scene not horror? Is Club Silencio not? I mean, that plays Lynch likes to toy with you and manipulate you in genre elements, and then also give you stuff you've never seen before, and doesn't like to be defined or clearly labeled into a box, I think, a lot of the time. So,
well, like Sam says, it's about a nightmare. I mean,
yeah,
it is.
His films are so singular that if you get me out of my film school pretension, but they're so singular that you can't really just be like, oh, it's a horror movie. Then it's just like, well, he's doing something way out of just genre constraints. So it's just like, the only one of his movies you probably couldn't call a horror movie is like The Straight Story. So no, I would love to hear that argument, but
I will never forget just the first time I saw The Straight Story at a repertory screening and just seeing the words Walt Disney Pictures presents a film by David Lynch.
Wait, oh no, did they know what they bought?
Yeah. Also, I also think that it's the feeling that the final moments of Mulholland Drive that I won't spoil, even though if I did spoil it, it wouldn't even reveal anything, but that fade to black and then that sound that lingers over the end credits just makes my blood run cold. Like
Yep.
it breaks my heart and I feel emotionally overwhelmed. But it's kind of like if anyone's seen First Reformed, where you're just kind of like,
Yes.
oh shit, and
Yes.
then cuts to black, and then you're just left with this drone where it's like, I don't know how you're not like shaken by the end of that.
Yeah.
You know, so
Hot take, Mulholland Drive, good film. It's not my favorite Lynch. Eraserhead is, because of course it is. If you saw all of this for going on almost 4 hours, you know it's Eraserhead. But yeah, Mulholland Drive's incredible.
It's pretty damn good. Let's go through some honorable mentions. What do you got for us, Kevin?
sweet.
Already mentioned In My Skin, Orphan kicks ass, Vacancy kicks ass, Ginger Snaps, Text Chainsaw Remake, Visitor Q,
Yeah.
the Poughkeepsie Tapes, the Collingwood Story, House of the
Oh.
Devil. And I'm surprised you didn't mention this, Ryan, because you were talking about it on the Force 5 pod for the underappreciated 95 to 2005, the Hills Have Eyes remake. Very much a fan of that.
Literally brought it up last week. That's why I didn't say it. It's on my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
That was the first movie I ever snuck into, and I remember being like, "This is gonna be awesome," and then just friends friends looking at me after I convinced them to go in, just looking at me, looking like with this gaze in their eyes that's like, "I feel ill." Like,
yeah. Already mentioned Bug, and of course, Identity. That's right.
Oh hell
I will go through mine very quickly. Like I said, Wreck was my number one on there. The Mist not got one mention tonight.
yeah.
The Strangers, of course. 2002's May. I love that from Lucky McKee.
Yeah.
2001, 13 Ghost is a damn fun movie.
I need to see that.
It is so fun. I had the Ring remake. I had the Texas Chainsaw remake. Kevin, you laughed, but I think this solidifies why we're friends. Identity, also on my list. I adore Identity. The Hills Have Eyes remake. Battle Royale didn't get a single mention from anybody.
Oh shit!
I have not seen it in so long. Yeah. I do have I forget the US one that had 1 and 2, and it's like a 4-disc, but I need to rewatch it.
Jennifer's Body, Shaun of the Dead,
yes.
the French Extremity that didn't make my list. I love Inside. Inside is definitely
Inside's a wild film, sir.
That's on my honorable mentions as well. That would be like my number 11 or 12.
One that never gets talked about anymore, but The Mothman Prophecies from 2002. Love that movie. And then one that's probably up Kevin's alley, 3 Extremes from 2004.
That's a fun time. Yeah. I need to watch the full version of Dumplings. I need to watch that. Who directs the middle one with the piano? I think it's called Cut.
That's Park Chan-wook.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Fun time.
All right, Charlie, what was on your honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions, Shaun of the Dead. We've talked a little bit about that one. The Host, Let the Right One In, Inland Empire, Ginger Snaps. Is that the first time this one's been mentioned?
Oh, it was in my honorable mentions.
Oh, it was in yours. Sorry, Kevin. Inside. I'm honestly just looking at like my Letterboxd highest rated right now in horror for 2000s. You got the Takashi Miike 3-way of Visitor Q, Ichi the Killer, and Happiness of the Katakuris.
Yep.
Those last two I really need to watch. Ichi the Killer is like one of my biggest blind spots.
Ichi the
I'm
Killer.
kind of astonished you have not seen that.
Yeah, me
I got
too.
the Blu-ray. Believe me, I can't wait. Especially after watching Visitor Q like last month. Fucking deranged man Takashi Miike is. Love him to death.
It is disgusting. That was a Netflix movie I got, and I decided to watch it on a sick day. To be fair, a sick, in quotes, day where it was just like, I don't feel like being in school right now. So I'm going to go home and watch this. Felt like karma. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Orphan, The Mist, Lars von Trier's Antichrist. Has anyone mentioned that yet?
No.
Saw that on opening night. One of the few times grown adults were like screaming. Not, at least ing. Martyrs, Thirst, A Tale of Two Sisters, Devil's Backbone, Wolf Creek, a movie that is so upsetting and so evil, but
It's
my
so
God, does it?
sadistic.
Yeah, my God, does that movie wield a deadly power? Oh shit. I'm sorry. How rude of me. I guess if you want to include this one, you could also throw Gozu into Takashi Miike's Four-Way. Jesus
I did
Christ.
watch that.
Yeah. I didn't want to do a repeat of a director, but Retribution by
fuck, I need to
Kiyoshi
watch
Kurosawa, which I just caught up with this year, is great. The Others with Nicole Kidman. Insane that was a huge summer blockbuster. I miss when we just had old school supernatural haunted house movies. Silent Hill. I will give a shout out to Silent Hill. A Mare, which is by I'm terrible with these pronunciations of French names, so my apologies. But Hélène Catat and Bruno Forzani, who also did Let the Bodies Tan and Strange Call Everybody's Tears, fun Euro or Giallo homage worth checking out. Three Extremes, and I'm just going to give a little throw out because this movie doesn't get enough love, but I am a fan of Ghosts of Mars, an underappreciated John Carpenter joint that has Ice Cube screaming, "Come on, you Martian motherfuckers," while shooting a bunch of space ghosts with, automatic weapons. What more do you want? That's the kind of movie where I watched it with my roommate and he was just kind of like, and I went all Kirsten Johnson in Sex and the City, who have nobody's fun anymore. Whatever happened to fun? Oh, and Drag Me to Hell. I don't know if that one was mentioned yet either.
Nobody has said it, but yeah, that was one that I was considering too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, we did it.
We did it, and that was a lot. Almost 4 hours. Thanks tonight.
Holy shit.
Everybody, keep in mind, like I said earlier, lots of sales coming. Ragnar in the Disconnected Discord sent this along to show everybody. This is hilarious.
Oh, that's brilliant.
There is so much happening in the next few weeks that there is just going to be a ton to cover. Thanks for hanging out for almost 4 hours with us tonight. We will see you next Thursday. But the biggest thing, go subscribe to Almost Major. Some of the best on the game. Love what they do. Go back and listen to their episode of House of a Thousand Corpses and all of the Scout to Foy episodes. Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us on again.
Of course. And now we got at least 2 more that we got to do.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
All right. We'll see you all next Thursday. Have a good week. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share it with someone else that may appreciate this.